Chapter 973, To Provoke and Ignore. Chapter 973, To Provoke and Ignore. The dining tables of Phoenix Hall was carved from fire spirit jade and very wide. When the 5 youths sat down, it didn't seem crowded at all. 2 of them had red hair. Red hair was the symbol of the Hua family clan. Only direct descendant juniors of the Hua family clan with a rich bloodline had red hair. When Lin Ming encountered Hua family clan juniors at time-worn Phoenix City in the lower realms, they hadn't had such blazing red hair. As for the others, Lin Ming had seen them before. They were following behind Hua Yenguang before and were disciples that latched onto the Hua family clan. The red-haired youth leading them looked at Lin Ming. As he saw Lin Ming polish off the noodles and the spirit bird bone soup, he smiled and mockingly said, "You really are a martial artist from the lower realms. You even eat like a beggar. Haha, haven't you eaten in the last 3 days? You ate all the soup and even licked your bowl off cleaner than my family's dog would." Another follower-disciple echoed. They all came here to stir up trouble. Their attitude, posture, and words all conveyed a signly message to Lin Ming. "Hit me, why don't you hit me?" According to the rules of Phoenix Hall, private fighting between disciples was forbidden. If one wished to fight, they had to do so fairly on the Nirvana altar under the watch of a hall protector. This sort of rule was established to prevent disciples from dying during battle. The environment in Phoenix Hall was simply far too complex, with too many interests mixed up together and too many factions opposing each other. If private battles between disciples were allowed, it was likely the disciples would be killed by people manipulating things behind the scenes. If Lin Ming was the first attack, he would be in violation of sect rules and would be imprisoned for 1,000 years. This was likely what these people wished for. Lin Ming certainly wouldn't make such a silly mistake. He grabbed a bowl of rice that looked as if it were made from pearls and diamonds and continued to slowly eat, not even glancing at these people in front of him. Although I knew that people would try to suppress me in Phoenix Hall, I didn't think I would draw flies even when I'm trying to eat a meal. You actually dare to call us flies? You really have no idea what the word death means. Lin Ming, if you have the guts, follow me up to the Nirvana altar and let's fight. I know that you're scared to bet the Phoenix Blood Spear, but that doesn't matter to me. I don't want it. All I want is the loser to slap themselves across the face. The one who spoke was a non-Hua family clan disciple. His cultivation was at the 8th stage of life destruction. The other disciples with him were at the Divine Sea Realm, and they also had an 8th stage life destruction base. These people clearly relied on their relationship with the Hua family clan to enter Phoenix Hall during the life destruction realm. Afterward, they failed to reach the 9th stage of life destruction but hadn't been kicked out of Phoenix Hall because they relied on their special connections once again. These people's talents were much worse than Huang Yugong or Huang Yenguang. "So you came to test me?" Lin Ming immediately understood what was happening. These were all people of the Hua family clan. It looks like Hua Yenguang is preparing for me. However, in a fight involving 2 top saint artifacts, he can't help but be cautious. After I entered the divine realm, the only time I fought was those 2 6th-stage life destruction servants of Huang Yugong. Other than that, I haven't shown my cards, so Hua Yenguang lacks the confidence that he can defeat me, so he sent this group of people here to test me. In Hua Yenguang's opinion, these people were more than enough to test out Lin Ming's hidden cards. If Lin Ming's strength was freakishly abnormal, he would give up any thoughts of challenging. On the other hand, if their strength was similar, he would be able to prepare some special counters to Lin Ming's moves. This was the so-called know yourself, know your enemy, and be invincible. Hua Yenguang, your plan is quite well thought out. But do you think everyone in this world is an idiot and you are the only intelligent one out there? If you sent a few people out to test me, do you really expect me to just let you? Lin Ming stood up. He simply didn't bother with the provocations of these flies. He didn't even want to challenge them and deliberately show a weaker side, because that would only attract the attention of others to himself. If you want to fight me, prepare a top-grade saint artifact. Why would you call yourself juniors of some great noble family if you don't even have a single top-grade saint artifact? You might as well go work as beggars instead. Lin Ming left these last words behind and then walked away, leaving the group of disciples fuming in anger. Lin Ming, You always use the excuse of a top-grade saint artifact. But the truth is that you just don't have the balls to fight us. You turtle. The group of disciples shouted out loud. Lin Ming walked away, seeming as though he couldn't hear them at all. His cultivation was rising more and more these days. It was only a matter of time until he could break through to the 6th stage of life destruction. For the next several days Lin Ming was constantly provoked. There were even those that came outside of his residence to shout out challenges at him. Lin Ming ignored them all. He only put out a single condition: anyone that wished to challenge him would need to put out a top-grade saint artifact. Those that could put out a top-grade saint artifact were mostly 9th stage life destruction divine transformation realm martial artists. Or at least a 9th stage life destruction late divine sea martial artist. But it was impossible for those people to challenge Lin Ming. Lin Ming was at Phoenix Hall for a while now, and although he was regularly challenged by people, he actually hadn't fought yet. Facing this Lin Ming that refused all challenges, the disciples of the Hua family clan began to spread the news that Lin Ming was a fraud and that his true strength was actually pathetic. This news caused some people to suspect Lin Ming's true strength. Was he really as amazing as Saint Artifact Pavilion's artifact spirit recognized him to be, or had Lin Ming managed to trick it using some devious method? Lin Ming turned a deaf ear to all of these suspicious. These false rumors had no significance to him. If he fought one of those minions because of these lies and defeated them, another would simply jump up to replace him. He would have to continue fighting, and this would give him no time to cultivate. Besides, if he appeared too powerful, Hua Yenguang would step back from challenging him. Only a true fool would do that. This Lin Ming really is unaffected. In his residence, Hua Yenguang frowned. I'm beginning to suspect that he really is a weakling. In front of Hua Yenguang, there was a tall youth sitting with fire-red hair that fell to his waist. This youth had a calm demeanor and his eyebrows slanted upward like swords. His cultivation was at the late divine transformation realm, and his inner world had begun to transition to a true great dimension. He was only a single step from becoming a divine lord. I advise you not to underestimate your opponent. Although Lin Ming is just an ant, you still haven't grown yet. Compared to the entire divine realm, we are nothing but ants too. The tall youth slowly said. Although he was strong, he wasn't arrogant at all. He always held a trace of fear and awe toward the vast divine realm. Brother-in-law, you are far too humble. You will soon become a divine lord and form your own world. Your body will contain life and you will be a god to all beings in your world, so how can you possibly be considered an ant? I asked Uncle to come this time because I wanted to borrow something to guarantee my victory in the upcoming battle. Oh, are you saying you want to borrow a top-grade saint artifact? Well, I guess I can, but you must first break through to the 9th stage of life destruction. Okay. I've already saved up my strength at the 8th stage of life destruction for 3 years. I have the confidence I can make a breakthrough. I wanted to gather a bit more strength, but now is still a good time. I will borrow the pressure of this fight and officially attack the 9th stage of life destruction. In order to ensure that I successfully enter the 9th stage of life destruction, I would like to request some phoenix plume blood from Uncle. Phoenix plume blood? The tall youth's eyelids shot up. Phoenix plume blood was also ancient phoenix blood, but the quality was higher than ordinary phoenix blood. Phoenix plume blood was the bloodline found within the plume feather of an ancient phoenix. It had the richest fire energy, and was an extremely high-quality type of ancient phoenix blood. Yes, I can apply to the family clan for some, but you must guarantee that you can make a breakthrough, otherwise things will be difficult for me. Definitely. Once I break through to the 9th stage of life destruction, my strength will make a rapid leap and I will challenge Lin Ming. He has a top-grade saint artifact, but I will have one too. Although the grade is inferior, the difference can't be that large. When I am at the 9th stage of life destruction and I have a top-grade saint artifact on top of that, if I fight him with his 5th stage of life destruction, then even if his talent and potential are superior to mine, I will still win. But before then, I must hide my top-grade saint artifact or else he'll be too afraid to challenge me. When we fight, I'll take it out and then. Hehe, I'm really looking forwards to seeing his expression. The tall youth nodded at Hua Yenguang's words. Your plan is good. But if you hide the top-grade saint artifact, What will you use as the gambling stake? The gambling stake must have a value equal to a top-quality saint artifact. Moreover, it must be enough to tempt Lin Ming to action. The gambling stake will be the Phoenix Plume Blood. The Phoenix Plume Blood has immense benefit to a martial artist. If you can absorb it into your body, it will directly increase your talent and also your affinity with fire laws. I don't believe that Lin Ming will be able to reject my offer. The tall youth frowned. You want to absorb a portion of Phoenix Plume Blood, but you also want to use some as a gambling stake? You'll need quite a bit of Phoenix Plume Blood then. Fine. I will help you apply for as much as possible, but as for how much you will receive, all of that will depend on the family clan elders. Then I must thank Uncle. Hua Yenguang was overjoyed. Although he called this youth uncle, the truth was that he wasn't much older than he was. This uncle of his had a great deal of attention placed on him in the family clan. If he was willing to speak on his behalf, there were high hopes his plan would succeed. Time slowly passed in Phoenix Cry Palace. Without knowing it, a month had passed. In this month, Lin Ming was the subject of countless lies and slander, with those from the Hua family clan ruthlessly spreading these rumors. As they continued to spread and Lin Ming still refused to battle, many people began to suspect Lin Ming's strength and they began to believe he was just a tricky weakling that was too cowardly to fight. However, Lin Ming turned a deaf ear to all of this and peacefully cultivated. In Phoenix Cry Palace, with the nourishment of all the various heavenly materials as well as absorbing the fire origin energy of the divine realm, his fifth stage life destruction cultivation reached perfection. His dantian was brimming with origin energy that was ready to overflow at any time. On this day, Lin Ming opened his eyes during seclusion and said to himself, "It's time to ask Senior Fairy Feng to help me break through to the sixth stage of life destruction. My foundation has become as solid as it can be. Breaking through to the sixth stage of life destruction will be a guaranteed success." As Lin Ming was thinking this, he suddenly felt the surrounding heaven and earth origin energy stir up around him as though some treasure was being born. He released his senses and discovered that the heaven and earth origin energy for several hundreds of miles was gathering towards a single point. Within the skies, clouds of origin energy formed. These clouds slowly fell downward into the shape of a giant funnel as it connected to a residence in Phoenix Hall. Millimeter? This is, Lin Ming's eyes shone as he flew out of his palace. At the same time, many life destruction, divine sea, and even divine transformation disciples flew out, all of them looking towards the same location, the converging point of the vortex of heaven and earth origin energy. Someone is breaking through to the ninth stage of life destruction. That is Hua Yenguang's residence. Hua Yenguang is breaking through, he's finally done it. Chapter 974, Ninefall Hua Yenguang. Chapter 974, Ninefall Hua Yenguang. Hua Yenguang broke through to the ninth stage of life destruction. I didn't think he would be so quick. Lin Ming inherited some memories of the ancient devil. He knew that in the moment when a martial artist broke through to the ninth stage of life destruction, they'd be able to enlighten themselves with the world laws. The clouds of origin energy above Hua Yenguang's residence were gathered and formed by the world laws, not by Hua Yenguang's own strength. It was hard to speculate what the laws of the world were. The clouds of origin contained fragments of the great Tao laws. When one's body was wrapped in this energy, their entire body would be combed over by these laws. The benefits were immeasurable. This was also the reason why such a great disparity existed between the 8th and 9th stage of life destruction. A 9th stage life destruction early divine sea martial artist could easily defeat an 8th stage life destruction late divine sea martial artist. Lin Ming looked around. In the clouds of origin energy he could see Tao diagrams condensing. These Tao diagrams contained patterns that were incomparably mysterious and profound. They were even similar to the intricacies within the Chaos Stones. Even a Divine Lord powerhouse would not be able to completely perceive these Tao diagram traces. This was the heavenly Tao, the most fundamental source path for the revolution of energy. When one broke through to the 9th stage of life destruction, the heavenly Tao would pour out like a tide. How much one could perceive from this would all rely on themselves. The Hall Protectors. The Hall Protectors have come. Several disciples cried out with excitement. A group of red-clothed hall protectors flew forward. All of them had cultivations at the late divine transformation realm. The hall protectors were once disciples of Phoenix Hall during their youth. To enter Phoenix Hall, they hadn't stepped into Ninefall, but instead joined during the divine transformation realm. This sort of martial artist had high talent, but it was still a bit difficult for them to enter the Divine Lord realm. The rules of Phoenix Hall stated that once a disciple reached 120 years of age, they would have to leave Phoenix Hall. Some could hold a post in Phoenix Cry Palace, and others decided to stay in Phoenix Hall as a hall protector instead. As several hall protectors appeared, they joined forces to form a great array, covering Hu Yenguang's residence within. This was to prevent others from disturbing him. To these disciples, crossing the 9th stage of life destruction would be the most important opportunity in their life. In the 9th stage of life destruction, the physical body, dantian, and soul would completely decompose, turning into the most basic particles. These particles would fuse into the clouds of origin energy formed by the world laws, making it the best time to perceive the heavenly Tao. The comprehensions gained from crossing to the 9th stage of life destruction were equal to a divine Lord realm powerhouse going into seclusion for 100 years. It was said that those that crossed to the 9th stage of life destruction would pass through the dragon gate to become a true dragon. The difference between the 9th and 8th stage of life destruction was the same as the difference between the heavens and earth. 8th stage life destruction martial artists would be mostly stranded in the divine transformation realm, with only a small number of them being able to reach the Divine Lord realm after obtaining enough lucky chances. But a 9th stage life destruction martial artist could easily step into the Divine Lord realm and reach even higher boundaries in the future. There was even a faint hope of being in existence on the level of the Phoenix Cry Palace Master. Amongst all the disciples of Phoenix Hall, of those that were at the 9th stage of life destruction, even if Hu Yenguang was included now, that would only amount to 29 individuals. The overwhelming majority of disciples entered Phoenix Hall after breaking through to the Divine Transformation Realm. In Phoenix Hall, Divine Transformation Realm martial artists occupied the majority, and they also had separate training, teaching, and residential areas from the Life Destruction and Divine Sea Realm martial artists. This was a natural matter. No matter how poor a Divine Transformation martial artist's talent was, their strength would still surpass Lin Ming's by a large amount. It was fundamentally impossible to teach them in the same way. There were very few Ninefall martial artists still in the Divine Sea Realm. As for those Ninefall life destruction martial artists, there was only Hu Yenguang. Phoenix Hall placed great importance on any Ninefall martial artist. In the process of breaking through to Ninefall, not even the slightest mistake would be tolerated. How fierce, far too fierce. Although I knew that Hu Yenguang had a high chance of breaking into Ninefall, I didn't think he would do it so quickly. Moreover, he did it in such a solid manner. The origin energy clouds in the sky have already gathered for 10 miles. That is an excellent result. 3 years ago, when Huang Yugong broke through to the 9th stage of life destruction, his origin energy clouds were only 6 to 7 miles wide. Among 9th stage life destruction martial artists were also great differences. When some people broke through to the 9th stage of life destruction, they formed origin energy clouds around 3 to 4 miles wide. In such a small origin energy cloud, the heavenly Tao contained would certainly be limited. As the body, revolving core, and soul entered that cloud, the comprehensions made within would be relatively less. But for some people, their origin energy clouds would be several times larger. In legends, there were even some Ninefall martial artists that could form origin energy clouds that extended for several dozen miles. That was a truly terrifying area. Origin energy clouds that were dozens of miles wide were not just 10 times larger than an origin energy cloud several miles wide, but rather 100 times larger. That was the difference in talent of 100 times. It had to be known that anyone who could break into Ninefall was a dragon amongst men. And to be 100 times stronger than even a dragon amongst men, just what sort of concept was that? Incredible, just incredible. The origin energy clouds are only increasing in size. It hasn't reached the limit yet, and it's already 12 miles wide. 12 miles, this number contains the principles of the world. Origin energy clouds are ranked by every 3 miles. The smallest is 3 miles, the second rank is 6 miles, the third rank is 9 miles, and the fourth rank is 12 miles. But the ranks of the ninth stage of life destruction aren't called ranks, but the layered heavens. The first rank is 1 layered heavens and the fourth rank is 4 layered heavens. Huang Yuegong's 7-mile origin energy cloud could only be considered 2 layered heavens, but now, Ho Yenguang actually achieved 4 layered heavens. That is 2 levels higher than Huang Yugong. This really fills the heart with jealousy. There's already very little hope for the likes of us to cross the ninth stage of life destruction. If I even managed to have a 3-mile origin energy cloud, I would still burn quality incense to my ancestors. But unfortunately, I'll likely enter the Divine Sea realm at the 8th stage of life destruction. At that time, I'll still be able to stay in Phoenix Hall due to my family clan's connections, but Hu Yenguang actually managed to reach the 4th layered heavens. 4 layered heavens. I really have no idea how many great Tao laws fragments are contained in those origin energy clouds and how many Tao diagrams are formed. As Hu Yenguang undergoes a baptism within these laws of heaven and earth, his achievements will only rise further and further in the future. It will be impossible for us to catch up. As the surrounding martial artists discussed, some people side with emotion, many with envy, and even more with jealousy. Besides Hu Yenguang's little brothers, there were very few people willing to see Hu Yenguang crawl over them and take up their own resources. A 9-fall martial artist was an extremely dignified character in Phoenix Cry Palace. Each one had great strength and excelled in their own aspects. Lin Ming knew that the only reason he could beat Huang Yugong to obtain a top-grade saint artifact was because his talent and potential surpassed his, not because of his strength. If they really fought, even if Lin Ming had the Phoenix Blood Spear supporting him, chances were he would lose. Huang Yuegong's cultivation was at the 9-fall early Divine Sea realm. The heaven and earth Tao diagrams constantly formed and shattered, forming and shattering again and again. The origin energy clouds, after expanding to 12 miles, finally started to slowly shrink. After about 45 minutes, the clouds compressed into Hu Yenguang's residence. Ha 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 ha. Ha 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 ha. In the roiling origin energy clouds, Hu Yenguang's loud laugh echoed into the world, directly impacting towards the sky, deafening enough to pierce through clouds and crack stone. An indescribable momentum recklessly surged outward, alarming everyone in the vicinity. At this time, Hu Yenguang had fused together with the laws of heaven and earth. It was difficult for the 8th stage life destruction martial artists and below to resist his mighty aura. His succeeded. Hu Yenguang has crossed to the 9th stage of life destruction and undergone the baptism of world laws. His future achievements will have no limit. No kidding. Just his aura is unbearable. If we were to fight him, the result could be imagined. We would be beaten into the ground and wasted. The disparity between us far surpasses our imaginations. After Hu Yenguang crossed to the 9th stage of life destruction, the next ones with the greatest chances of crossing into 9-fall should be Lin Ming and Hu Shaoyang. Hu Shaoyang is still at the revolving core realm, so it's still too early for him. The next one should be Lin Ming. I wonder whether or not Lin Ming can successfully enter the 9th stage of life destruction. There shouldn't be a problem. He's someone who's favored by Saint Artifact Pavilion's artifact spirit, and the Phoenix Blood Spear which hung in the sky for 36 years was also taken by him. If he can't cross the 9th stage of life destruction, then that would truly be a joke. I'm not too sure about that. Lin Ming has entered Phoenix Hall for only a month but has ignored every challenge that has come his way. Perhaps his strength is only a facade. Saint Artifact Pavilion's artifact spirit might have made a biased judgment. It's also a life with a consciousness of its own, so that means it can also be selfish in its thought. As the disciples spoke, the origin energy clouds in the sky had already completely contracted in on themselves. A golden phoenix phantom formed in the sky, unfurling its great wings. This was an image formed from Hu Yenguang's lifeblood essence. Such a rich ancient phoenix bloodline was not what Lin Ming could compare with. This bloodline, Lin Ming gazed at the golden phoenix soaring through the air. Compared to his own ancient phoenix bloodline, it was simply impossible to compare. Hu Yenguang might have at least several thousand drops of ancient phoenix blood within him, and the quality of that ancient phoenix blood was also higher. This was the advantage of coming from a distinguished noble family. Good. Very good. Hu Yenguang's booming voice carried out into the world. Four-layered heaven's ninth stage life destruction. I've finally achieved the baptism of the heavenly Tao from crossing to the ninth stage of life destruction. I've heard of this experience countless times before, but this is the first time I've personally experienced the heavenly Tao so closely. My body, dantian, and soul were completely turned into the tiniest of particles and enlightened within the heavenly Tao. The effects this will have on my future cultivation are incalculable. The phoenix plume blood is truly a wonderful treasure. If I didn't have it, I fear I would only have been able to form a 10-mile origin energy cloud. Wonderful. Too amazing. Phoenix plume blood. So this was due to the support of phoenix plume blood. The surrounding disciples all sighed, many with envy. How could they ever have a chance to enjoy such a high-quality type of ancient phoenix blood? Lin Ming, I already reached the ninth stage of life destruction, but why are you still only at the fifth stage? Your training speed is far too slow. Before, you said that if I can put out a sufficient gambling stake, you will fight me. Do you still remember? Now, I will put forth my gambling stake, and that is phoenix plume blood, 10 drops of phoenix plume blood. I will use that to bet against your phoenix blood spear. But I guess that you won't dare to fight. Even if you have the phoenix blood spear to make up for the difference, you will still lose to the suppressing momentum of my four-layered heaven's ninth stage life destruction cultivation. You'll just drop down at the first strike. If you're too afraid to accept my challenge, then that's fine, but get down on your knees and apologize to me. I won't bother you over breaking the promises you made. A ninth stage life destruction martial artist fighting a fifth stage life destruction martial artist was simply overwhelming someone with unfair power. Even victory wouldn't be the true martial path. But Hu Yenguang was different. Lin Ming said that as long as Hu Yenguang could put forth a sufficient gambling stake, he'd accept the challenger, and he even shamed Hu Yenguang for it. But now that Hu Yenguang had made his breakthrough and issued a challenge, he even put forth a sufficient gambling stake. Everything he did was logical. To a proud and arrogant genius, the words one spoke was spilled water that couldn't be taken back. Reneging on words that were publicly spoken wasn't a glorious matter at all. Chapter 975, Nirvana Altar. Chapter 975, Nirvana Altar. 10 drops of phoenix plume blood is equal in value to an ordinary top-grade saint artifact. Even though Hu Yenguang comes from a distinguished noble family, he still shouldn't have been able to get his hands on so much. Don't forget, he also used some to break through to the ninth stage of life destruction. He certainly couldn't obtain it himself, but he can borrow it. I heard he has a disgustingly talented little uncle who is about to reach the Divine Lord realm any day now. Hu Yenguang could have asked him to borrow some phoenix plume blood, and after he wins the phoenix blood spear he can return the rest. He might need to divide the phoenix blood spear somehow with his uncle too. This Hu Yenguang is too overbearing. A four-layered heaven's ninth stage life destruction cultivation and he challenges Lin Ming. Isn't that just bullying? Lin Ming is only at the fifth stage of life destruction. How could he possibly accept? Yeah, this is simply bullying others and slapping them across the face. Hu Yenguang probably isn't expecting Lin Ming to have the courage to accept this challenge. Because his limelight is too great from breaking into the ninth stage of life destruction today, he wants to take this chance to humiliate Lin Ming and avenge the shame he suffered a while back. I think that Lin Ming is done today. His words were snobby and he used the excuse of Hu Yenguang not having a top-grade saint artifact to not fight him. Now he has to reap what he sowed. If I were Lin Ming, I would just endure what happens today and retreat like a turtle. I'd only need to keep a low profile and diligently cultivate. Once I broke through to the ninth stage of life destruction, I'd finally return to public view. Heh, are you an idiot? After Lin Ming enters Ninefall, Hu Yenguang will definitely have broken into the Divine Sea. That would be even more suppressing. Moreover, Hu Yenguang wants Lin Ming to kneel down and apologize. A man has gold under their knees, pride is everything to them. Especially to a proud genius. How could he possibly kneel? As these martial artists were discussing, they looked toward Lin Ming to see what response he would give. By all reasoning, Lin Ming should just patiently endure this shame. Losing honor was a minor loss. losing the Phoenix Blood Spear was a big deal. Lin Ming held his hands behind his back, proudly floating in the sky with a calm demeanor. Because Hu Yenguang condensed the heaven and earth origin energy, the origin energy in the world was blowing about like strong gusts of wind. The wind streaked through Lin Ming's cloths and long hair. At this moment, he looked like a solitary hero facing the world. Lin Ming's lips curved up in a mocking smile. He slowly said, "I said that I would agree to fight you if you were able to put forth a top-grade saint artifact, and you actually put forth 10 drops of Phoenix Plume blood. Let me ask you, do 10 drops of Phoenix Plume blood match up to the Phoenix Blood Spear in value?" Lin Ming had read many ancient texts within Phoenix Cry Palace these past days and had an approximate understanding of how valuable Phoenix Plume blood was. 10 drops was only slightly better than a normal top-grade saint artifact, but inferior to the Phoenix Blood Spear. Lin Ming had decided if there was to be a fight, then the gambling stake should be as large as possible. Hu Yenguang had only put forth 10 drops of Phoenix Plume blood. That was far too little. However, the words Lin Ming spoke just now had a completely different meaning to the other martial artists that heard it. This Lin Ming really isn't planning on accepting the challenge. In fact, if he doesn't wish to accept the challenger, he should honestly admit defeat and get it over with. There is too great a disparity between the 9th stage and 5th stage of life destruction to begin with, but having to find another excuse to refuse is just disgraceful. Do you think that if Lin Ming honestly admits defeat, Hu Yenguang will let things go like this? He'll definitely take this chance to ruthlessly shame Lin Ming. Stirring up things as much as possible would be the smart thing to do in this situation. Ha 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 ha. Hu Yenguang laughed. Lin Ming, I thought you were someone special, but I never thought you would be so shameless. You don't dare to fight me, so you come up with such a pathetic excuse. That is simply laughable. Today, I will tear through all your excuses. If you say that 10 drops of Phoenix Plume blood aren't enough, then fine, I will put forth 20 drops of Phoenix Plume blood as well as 2 high-grade saint artifacts. These are peak high-grade saint artifacts, one a pill furnace and the other a vestment. What do you have to say to that? Hu Yenguang initially applied for 20 drops of Phoenix Plume blood as the limit. In addition, he also had a top-grade saint artifact. But he didn't take out this top-grade saint artifact as a gambling stake. If he revealed it to Lin Ming, then even if he was as dumb as a pig, he still wouldn't dare to fight. At that time, he would only be able to shame Lin Ming and he wouldn't be able to ruthlessly beat him into the ground. How could he feel satisfied about just that? Hu Yenguang had put forth 20 drops of Phoenix Plume blood as a gambling stake in a single breath. Even his uncle would suffer taking out such a great price. And he also included his pill furnace and vestment. He truly put forth the required capital. The reason Hu Yenguang dared to do this was because he had absolute confidence in victory. A 4-layered Heaven's 9th stage life destruction cultivation in addition to a hidden top-grade saint artifact as his trump card. If he couldn't win with this, he might as well hit his head on a wall and die. That's 20 drops of Phoenix Plume blood. And there's also a top high-grade pill furnace and vestment. That should be Hu Yenguang's own sun-melting furnace and 9-feathered heaven robe. How is this a simple gambling fight? It's as if they're putting their own lives on the line. That's right, everything added up together isn't any more than the Phoenix Blood Spear. Whoever loses will lose everything they have. You're worrying for nothing. Do you really think that Lin Ming will fight? The only way would be if he was mentally handicapped, an early Divine Sea Realm disciple contemptuously said. He had an 8th stage life destruction base. As someone who could only look on with envy at these 9th stage life destruction geniuses, he couldn't help but be a bit sarcastic. However, before he finished speaking, Lin Ming suddenly laughed, and in a very reckless and shameless way he said, "Good. 20 drops of Phoenix Plume blood, as well as a top high-grade pill furnace and vestment. Good. You take them out now and place them in the Nirvana altar and I'll fight with you." Lin Ming's heart was also filled with expectations. A divine realm talent as well as a true 9th stage life destruction martial artist, this would be his first time fighting one. Moreover, the gambling stakes were so high. This battle would truly be thrilling. What? As Lin Ming spoke, the disciple who was mocking Lin Ming felt his chin drop to the ground. Lin Ming accepted the challenge. Is he insane? It wasn't wrong that Lin Ming was talented. He hadn't fought for a month and had refused all challenges, so some people thought that he was putting on a front. But there was still a considerable number of people who believed that Lin Ming was extraordinarily strong in certain areas, and this was solely based upon the Saint Artifact Pavilion Artifact Spirit's judgment. However, even if Saint Artifact Pavilion confirmed that one was a genius, it was impossible for a 5th stage life destruction martial artist to fight a 9th stage life destruction martial artist. It had to be known that even though the Phoenix Blood Spear was taken only after 36 years, for those 36 years, there were also many other top-grade Saint artifacts that were taken. There was even a peak top-grade Saint artifact like the Phoenix Blood Spear that was taken. It was a spectacular result for Lin Ming to obtain the Phoenix Blood Spear, but it wasn't a unique result. Amongst the Divine Transformation Realm powerhouses of Phoenix Hall, there were even those that were more freakish than Lin Ming was. For instance, 80 years ago, the chief disciple of Phoenix Hall, White Dao Hong, had instantly taken 2 top-grade Saint artifacts from Saint Artifact Pavilion and even obtained the source strength of the old Palace Master. Since then, if he claimed to be number 2, no one claimed to be number 1. Lin Ming could only be known as a top 30-year talent of Phoenix Hall, and this in a case where Saint Artifact Pavilion's artifact spirit had made no errors in judgment. Looking further, others weren't that much worse. Hu Yenguang wasn't too bad. He achieved a 4-layered Heaven's 9 fall and could barely be called a top 10-year talent. For a top 30-year talent to compare with a top 10-year talent, just how different could they be? With just a 20-year disparity, could that really allow a 5th stage life destruction martial artist to contend with a 9th stage life destruction martial artist? Is Lin Ming agreeing to such an outrageous challenge just because he wants to save face? Does he not know that if he agrees to this battle, he might feel good for a moment but he'll end up in an even worse situation? When he's beaten to pulp, he'll be even worse off than he was before, a martial artist said with a frown. Beside him, one of Hu Yenguang's servants loudly laughed. Don't you know that those lower realms martial artists are all stupid? Even so, I didn't think they would be stupid to this degree. I wonder, is he confused about whether or not this is the divine realm or one of the lower realms? Maybe in the lower realms he might be able to defeat a divine sea martial artist at the 5th stage of life destruction, but does he believe the same applies to the divine realm? Just how low is his intelligence? I still don't think things are so simple. Maybe Lin Ming has some other plan. Don't forget, the Phoenix Blood Spear can make up for a difference of several boundaries. Doesn't Hu Yenguang only have a high-grade Saint artifact? Only a high-grade Saint artifact? He, that different surnamed disciple of the Hu family clan sneered as he thought to himself, how could you know that Hu Yenguang has especially borrowed a top-grade Saint artifact for this fight? Although it is inferior to the Phoenix Blood Spear, it isn't that much worse. In addition, with a high-grade Saint artifact vestment and ring, Hu Yenguang's equipment isn't any worse than Lin Ming's. Even a lion would use its full force to capture a rabbit. Moreover, in a situation where so much is on the line, do you think Hu Yenguang would challenge Lin Ming with the near entirety of his wealth if he didn't have full confidence in his chances of winning? Besides those close to Hu Yenguang, no one else knew of this secret. In the skies, Hu Yenguang turned ecstatic as he heard Lin Ming agree to his challenge. He really took the bait, he actually agreed. You fool, you really have no idea what it means to bring about your own destruction. A 5th stage life destruction actually dares to challenge my 9th stage life destruction. I also have a top-grade Saint artifact, so there's no need for me to fear your Phoenix Blood Spear at all. Since you're offering me your weapon, if I don't take your Phoenix Blood Spear this time, then that really would be unfair to you. Hu Yenguang was afraid that Lin Ming would back away from his promise. He suppressed the joy in his heart and immediately said, fine. Let's go to the Nirvana altar. I'll wait for you there. He turned to the several hall protectors and said, fellow seniors, I invite you to witness our fight. The hall protectors glanced at each other. They were also surprised that Lin Ming agreed to this battle. Even White Dao Hong from the past wouldn't be able to achieve victory in this situation. Of course. That's our duty. The several hall protectors turned into beams of light that flew toward the Nirvana altar. Hu Yenguang was close behind them, followed by Lin Ming and the other disciples. No one wanted to miss such a great show. The Nirvana altar was located at the direct center of Phoenix Hall. The altar was over 200 feet high and spread out for 100 miles. At the edges of the altar was a barricade comprised of blooded weapons. There were hundreds of thousands of these weapons, each one plunged into the ground, seeming as if they had just drunk their fill of blood. They exuded a boundless momentum and a savage killing intent. These weapons were all Saint artifact. Several 100,000 Saint artifact. But these were ruined Saint artifacts that were no longer able to display their true strength. Phoenix Cry Palace had accumulated these ruined Saint artifacts for countless tens of thousands of years. There were low-grade Saint artifacts, medium-grade Saint artifacts, a small number of high-grade Saint artifacts, and even some top-grade Saint artifacts. These ruined Saint artifacts weren't melted down and reforged into new weapons. Rather, they were peacefully placed here, a remembrance of their solemn dignity and past glory. This was an iron forest, thick with killing intent. This place was also known as the Terrace of Buried Weapons. This land of buried weapons was at the same time a tomb of swords, a tomb of sabers, a tomb of spears, a tomb of halberds, and a tomb of countless other types of weapons. Some weapons here even had a history that surpassed 1,000,000 years. Even if they were forged from divine metal, they would still be rusted by now. Chapter 976, Glory of the Phoenix Blood Spear. Chapter 976, Glory of the Phoenix Blood Spear. Lin Ming looked at the solemn and sanctified Nirvana altar that exuded a thick killing intent as a feeling of respect was born in his heart. The so-called Nirvana was to break past the shackles of life and death and achieve true liberation. However, true Nirvana was nothing but a legend. A divine Lord Realm powerhouse was a god to an ordinary person, but they too would die. All of these buried weapons had already lost their spirits and were in states of decay. These Saint artifact weapons had once cut down powerhouses, but they inevitably weren't able to resist the decay of the years. Saint artifacts had a lifespan, and artifact spirits also had a lifespan. In the legends, the Phoenix was able to bathe in the fires of Nirvana and be reborn, immortal and inextinguishable. However, a Phoenix was in truth unable to exist in perpetuity within this world. This was because all life had to eventually come to an end. Even the boundless universe would one day collapse. If one reached the end of the road of martial arts, just what would be awaiting them? Lin Ming, what are you standing around there in a daze for? Hurry to the Nirvana altar to meet your defeat. Hua Yenguang's words broke through Lin Ming's thoughts. At this time, Hua Yenguang was floating in the air, proud and tall. He flicked his fingers and a small jade vial flew out. This jade vial was filled with 20 drops of phoenix plume blood. Lord Protectors, please take care of that for me. As for the other 2 high-grade Saint artifacts, the sun-melting furnace and the 9-feathered heaven robe, I will use them in this battle. If I lose, I will hand them over as the price. Naturally. On the Nirvana altar, no one can renege on their promises. Once the parties have agreed to something, it must be carried out no matter what. The 4 hall protectors moved to the 4 corners of the altar. They were here to ensure that all conditions of the duel were fairly carried out and also to ensure that the disciples wouldn't resort to extreme measures and kill each other. Haha, very good. Hua Yenguang wildly laughed. Lin Ming, once you stand on this Nirvana altar there will be no more path of retreat. If you lose, the Phoenix Blood Spear will be mine. I won't take back the words I've said. Lin Ming stepped on the Nirvana altar. The Nirvana altar was covered by an invisible array formation. Its power was not something that someone like Lin Ming could hope to shake. Good. Great. Haha, I'll teach you today what it means to bring about your own destruction. As Hua Yenguang spoke, he extracted an extremely long sword from his spatial ring. The sword blade was 6 feet long and the hilt was a foot long itself. Combined together, this sword was as tall as a man. This is... Lin Ming's eyebrows shot up. A top-grade Saint artifact. It's a top-grade Saint artifact. Hua Yenguang actually has a top-grade Saint artifact. He clearly has a top-grade Saint artifact, so why didn't he use that as the gambling stake? I see, he was probably afraid that he would scare Lin Ming away from accepting the challenge, so he intentionally hid the top-grade Saint artifact. He wanted to trick Lin Ming into this battle, then reveal this top-grade saint artifact and completely push him into despair. This move is ruthless enough. Lin Ming really fell for it this time. Hu Yenguang is too despicable. It was already cheap of him to fight a 5th stage life destruction with his 9th stage life destruction. Lin Ming had the Phoenix Blood Spear to make up for the difference, but now Hu Yenguang also has a top-grade saint artifact. This is just unfair. Humph, what do you know? Everything is fair in love and war. He should have borrowed the top-grade saint artifact from his uncle. His uncle really is ridiculously wealthy. It wasn't strange for a first-level figure like Hu Yenguang's uncle to have a top-grade saint artifact. But for a martial artist to form their life saint artifact, they had to leave behind a spirit mark and also imbue their own energy into it. It was impossible to casually lend it to others. Otherwise, if others left their spirit mark and their energy within the saint artifact, it would affect the power of the saint artifact and one would have to waste time further refining it. What Hu Yenguang borrowed was likely his uncle's spare weapon. Even this spare weapon was a top-grade saint artifact. Although it was slightly inferior to the main weapon, it was still enough to prove just how ridiculously wealthy Hu Yenguang's uncle was. That uncle was once a disciple of Phoenix Hall and he was in no way inferior to White Dao Hong in talent. It was said that he had also once taken the number 1 saint artifact from Saint Artifact Pavilion. Ha ha ha, Lin Ming, even if I don't use this Blackfire blade, I still have the confidence to defeat you. But even a lion must use its full strength to capture a rabbit. I won't give you the slightest chance of victory. I'll use my greatest strength and roll over you. I'll show you what despair is so that you'll never dare to struggle with me ever again. Hu Yenguang took out this top-grade saint artifact from the start so that Lin Ming wouldn't have the slightest chance of victory. This was a battle with his entire life's wealth on the line. He absolutely could not lose. Hu Yenguang also wanted to bowl over Lin Ming with absolute strength and form his own glory. A 4-layered Heaven's 9th stage life destruction combined with absolute strength and with the support of his family clan. In the future, just who would dare to provoke him in Phoenix Hall? Lin Ming narrowed his eyes as he looked at the Blackfire blade. He could see its keen and cruel edge. That cold gleam seemed as though it were pointed at his forehead, making one suffocate. He swiped the extreme violet ring and a deep blood-red light flashed out. The 9 feet 9 inch crimson phoenix blood spear flew into Lin Ming's hand as if though had a will of its own. A scarlet pillar of light directly shot toward the heavens, breaking through the skies as a vast and endless strength surged outward, dyeing the heavens a thick blood red. Good. What a wonderful phoenix blood spear. That is truly a magnificent weapon that nears becoming a transcendent saint artifact. If it weren't for that saint spear, I wouldn't have fought you. Since you have obtained the approval of Saint Artifact Pavilion's artifact spirit, that is enough proof to lay claim to being the most splendid new talent Phoenix Hall has seen in 30 years. However, not every talent can grow. There are all sorts of reasons for them to exhaust their potential, fading to nothing or even perishing. If you wish to become the strongest disciple of Phoenix Hall and become a divine lord in the future, you must first pass the trial known as me. But too bad for you, today you're destined to lose. You sure spout a lot of crap. Make your move. Lin Ming stepped forward and the 12 thunder escape symbols in his body bloomed with a dazzling purple radiance. The gate of wonder opened as his velocity reached the limit. Whoosh! The endless blood-red light in the skies gathered, all of it condensing onto the tip of the phoenix blood spear. This spear caused a scarlet tornado to form as it thrust straight toward Hu Yenguang's chest. This was the first time since Lin Ming obtained the phoenix blood spear that he attacked with his full strength. The scarlet storm whipped up a vortex all around, causing even the surrounding space to slightly tremble. This was the divine realm's space. With Lin Ming's understanding of space laws, it was impossible for him to move the divine realm's space. But this strike with the Phoenix Blood Spear actually caused the most minute distortions in space. This was the power of a top-grade saint artifact. They themselves were equal to a peerless master. If a divine transformation realm powerhouse were to galvanize this spear, the power would be even greater. Facing this strike, Hu Yenguang rapidly drew backward. He slashed out with the black fire blade in his hands, causing waves of endless black fire to sweep upward, causing black and red surges of energy to collide in the sky. He also activated the power inherent within the black fire blade. Black flames smashed against the scarlet storm created by the Phoenix Blood Spear. The roiling black flames were swallowed up by the scarlet storm, but the scarlet storm was also burnt away by the black flames. Chapter 977, Third Level of the Concept of Fire. Chapter 977, Third Level of the Concept of Fire. Bang! The black flames and scarlet storm riotously exploded. The black flames disappeared into nothingness, but only 70% of the scarlet storm melted away. The remaining 30% shot toward Hu Yenguang. This was only a single spear strike from Lin Ming, but Hu Yenguang slashed out 3 times. The difference in quality between the 2 top-grade Saint artifacts could be seen with just a glance. In terms of the Saint artifact's strength alone, the black fire blade was completely suppressed by the Phoenix Blood Spear. Great Spear! The Phoenix Blood Spear itself has such might. If it were to fall into my hands, just how powerful would it be? Hu Yenguang moved, his feet shifting like a fast rabbit in the high grass. His speed was surprisingly fast and highly flexible. It was unknown what movement technique he used, but it was no worse than Lin Ming's Mystic Lightning Shade. Hu Yenguang's figure erratically danced through the scarlet storm, flitting back and forth. His body became a series of after-images that dodged all of the Phoenix Blood Spear's attack. Ghostly Fire Fade Steps. I didn't think that Hu Yenguang practiced the ghostly fire fade steps to this level. He really is a genius. You're wrong. Hu Yenguang's ghostly fire fade steps hadn't reached this level of exquisiteness before. This is what happened after he crossed the 9th stage of life destruction and received a baptism of the world laws. His comprehension of the fire laws has deepened, so his ghostly fire fade steps have become more amazing. The 9th stage of life destruction was truly not wasted. The ghostly fire fade steps were traceless and shadowless. It was one of the ancient Phoenix clan's high-level movement martial skills. Because fire cultivation methods were inferior to thunder cultivation methods in speed, the ancient Phoenix clan's ghostly fire fade steps were in truth inferior to the electric violet Kirin clan's mystic lightning shade. However, in terms of the comprehension of laws, Hu Yenguang came from a distinguished noble family clan of the divine realm, and he had 8,000 drops of ancient phoenix blood in his body. He meditated on the fire laws since childhood and had undergone the heavenly Tao's baptism through the 9th stage of life destruction. His understanding of the concept of fire surpassed Lin Ming's understanding of the concept of thunder. Lin Ming's mystic lightning shade surpassed Hu Yenguang in speed, but in terms of flexibility, Hu Yenguang occupied a great advantage. In only 1% of an instant, Hu Yenguang switched direction countless times. In the sky, after-images were formed through his movements, hundreds and even thousands of them. These after-images suddenly drew together, fusing back into Hu Yenguang's true body. But at this time, Hu Yenguang was only 3 feet away from Lin Ming. Too fast. He managed to break through the barrier of that endless scarlet storm. Lin Ming's pupils shrank. A 9th stage life destruction genius of the divine realm truly could not be underestimated. As Lin Ming saw Hu Yenguang about to thrust out his sword, he subconsciously released the Prime Emperor Lotus Flower. As long as the Prime Emperor Lotus Flower bloomed, all laws would be hindered. This would cause Hu Yenguang's ghostly fire fade steps to lose its flexibility. No matter how fast he was, in the grand mist space he would lose all that nimbleness. This was the suppression of absolute strength, a single force to break all method. However, in the instant that Lin Ming was about to use the Prime Emperor Lotus Flower, he suddenly hesitated and decided not to die. In a battle between masters, a split second could decide victory and defeat. At the moment that Lin Ming hesitated, Hu Yenguang's black fire blade already pierced toward his front. Law of Annihilation, Chain of Stars. In a haste, Li Ming forcefully cancelled the Prime Emperor Lotus Flower and raised the Phoenix Blood Spear. Countless lights formed in front of him, slowly rotating around like a whirlpool of stars. Hu Yenguang's sword thrust into this vortex of stars. Catcher. A hastily formed defense could not compare with Hu Yenguang's all-out attack he gathered potential for. The vortex of stars exploded and energy flushed outward. Lin Ming's bodily protective true essence violently trembled as half of it was torn apart by sword energy and he was sent flying backward. As Lin Ming's protective true essence broke, sword energy fell onto Lin Ming and shredded his lightning silk clothes. Luckily, he opened 4 of the inner hidden gates, otherwise it would have been impossible for him to withstand the frontal attack of a top-grade saint artifact. The energy of the black flames swept through Lin Ming's body, wrecking their way past his meridians. Lin Ming's complexion changed and he nearly spat out a mouthful of blood. He immediately transferred all of his true essence into the heretical god sprout. The heretical god sprout's 2 fire leaves emitted a blazing light. A powerful energy covered the black flames, absorbing most of them. However, these black flames were extremely tenacious. Even the heretical god sprout could only slowly absorb and refine them. Even when the flames were suppressed, they were still extremely wild, rushing about as though they hoped to break through their shackles. This is indeed the flames of a top-grade saint artifact. Even the heretical god sprout absorbs them so slowly. Lin Ming was startled. A top-grade saint artifact was truly fierce. Lin Ming is injured. In just the second exchange of moves, he actually appears to be the injured one. The difference between them is too great. In the first exchange of moves, he only made us of the advantage of the Phoenix Blood Spear. If he relied on just his own strength, he wouldn't be Hua Yenguang's match at all. That was only Hua Yenguang's probing attack just now. His true killing moves will follow right behind. Lin Ming couldn't even withstand that probing attack. With the black fire blade's black flames invading his body, his meridians are surely damaged. I think he must have swallowed down a mouthful of blood just now. A top-grade saint artifact needed to be wielded by a divine transformation realm powerhouse to display its full might and glory. In Hua Yenguang's hands, the black fire blade could only display a fraction of its true power, but the flames he emitted were still at the level of divine transformation. If those flames entered someone's body, they would create tremendous damage. Lin Ming was originally weaker than Hua Yenguang, and if his meridians were burnt by those black flames, then how could he continue fighting? Well, this is over, but Lin Ming was good enough. For a 5th stage life destruction to challenge a 9th stage life destruction, that already requires a great amount of courage, the surrounding disciples discussed. They already assumed the outcome of this match. However, of the 4 hall protectors that were watching this battle from the corners, the strongest slightly frowned with a thoughtful expression on his face. In that second exchange of moves, Lin Ming's movements seemed out of place for the briefest moment. It was as if he wanted to use another move at the start, but just as he was about to do so, he suddenly changed his mind and switched. That moment was only 1% of an instant. If it weren't for the fact that the Hall Protector was over 1,000 years old and had borne witness to countless battles, he wouldn't have realized it. Normally, once a martial artist had fought through many battles, every move they used would become a nearly conditioned reflex. It was extremely rare to change moves in a split second that was tantamount to suicide. Was Lin Ming simply lacking in combat experience, or was there some other plan? As the Hall Protector was thinking, his companion's true essence sound transmission echoed in his ears. It looks like this fight is going to finish soon. Lin Ming is good but is only within the scope of a normal genius. In this state he can only last for 5 more moves, and Hua Yenguang hasn't even shown his true strength yet. Maybe. There might also be another variable, the Hall Protector thought out loud. He would have never dreamt that the move Lin Ming terminated midway just now was actually a transcendent divine might. A transcendent divine might. That was something that only an Empyrean-level existence could create by combining every aspect of their power and knowledge into a single ultimate ability. Most Empyreans did not even have this ability. It might take a generation or 2 of Empyreans, hundreds of millions of years, before a single transcendent divine might was born. The transcendent divine mights of the divine realm were accumulated for countless billions of years. All those that were able to create their own would be crowned with the title of divine. This was not a god of mortals like a divine lord, but a god of martial artist. The primordious martial intent had significant concerns around it. Lin Ming didn't know whether or not Empyrean primordious enemies were still alive. Although only the most extreme powerhouses of the divine realm would be able to recognize the primordial martial intent, such as those old beings that had lived for millions of years, he still had to be careful. He couldn't willfully display the transcendent divine might whenever he wished. It was better to be safe than sorry. While he could still use the primordial martial intent, he had to at least hide the most glaring and conspicuous Prime Emperor Lotus flower. He would need to cover the primordial martial intent a bit and fuse it into his own attack, making it so others wouldn't be able to see through it. Using it at critical moments was the best method. Of course, Lin Ming also had no choice but to resort to the primordial martial intent sooner or later because Huoyenguang was indeed too troublesome. The four-layered Heaven's Ninefall Huoyenguang with a top-grade saint artifact added on top was weaker than the early Divine Sea Huang Yugong, but he actually surpassed 8th stage life destruction late Divine Sea martial artists like Song Baifeng. To Lin Ming, the primordial martial intent was one of his greatest dependencies he used to jump ranks in battle. If he didn't use it, it'd be difficult to defeat Huoyenguang. Ha ha ha. Lin Ming, you disappoint me. Is this your limit? That was just the second sword strike. I haven't even warmed up yet, but you've reached the end. Huoyenguang contemptuously smirked. He felt that all the worries he had were for nothing. This was all Lin Ming was. Without having crossed the 9th stage of life destruction, Lin Ming still thought he could defeat him. Besides relying on the Phoenix Blood Spear to gain the advantage during the first move, your own strength is nothing special. I will let you know today what it means to enter Ninefall, to enter the 9 divine shifts. To enter Ninefall is to withstand the baptism of world laws. That means that the body, the Dantian, and the soul will finally begin transitioning to become a true spiritual god. Do you know what a spiritual god is? That is not something that a mortal like you could possibly compare with. Huoyenguang maliciously laughed and stretched out 3 fingers. 3 moves. In just 3 moves I will beat you so bad that your teeth litter the ground. To a top genius, the words they said were water that couldn't be taken back. If they said they could defeat the enemy in 3 moves, then they had to do so in 3 moves. Otherwise, they would become the butt of all jokes. Huoyenguang had always said that a lion must use its full force to capture a rabbit. And now Lin Ming was injured by the black fire blade and black flames flooded through his meridians. Even if he didn't attack, it was only a matter of time before Lin Ming succumbed. Huoyenguang had the confidence he could settle this in the next strike. Lin Ming, your end is nigh. Let me show you my comprehension of the fire laws. Huoyenguang gave a loud shout and burnt 1/10 of the ancient phoenix blood in his body. Ancient phoenix blood could be burnt without end, but Huoyenguang could only burn 10% of it or his body wouldn't be able to withstand the burden. As the ancient phoenix blood was burnt, blue flames arose from all over Huoyenguang's body. As these blue flames appeared, a domain formed around him. This domain seemed as if it contained infinite vitality. These blue flames could burn the heavens, and there was an incomparably burning heat contained within them. But as people looked at this domain, they could actually see flowers, birds, insects, beasts, countless spirit plants, and spirit trees, all sorts of life rapidly being born within, as if it were a paradise on earth. That is Blue Lotus True Fire. He already formed a domain of Blue Lotus True Fire. Blue Lotus True Fire was not a flame essence nor was it a flame elemental. It was a type of fire that the clansmen of the ancient Phoenix clan were able to manipulate once their boundary reached a certain level. In order to use this Blue Lotus True Fire, one needed to understand the 3rd level of the concept of fire, creation. Chapter 978, Overpower. Chapter 978, Overpower. The first level of the fire laws was burning heat. That was the foundation of all fire laws and also the most basic attribute of fire. The second concept was annihilation. That was the manifestation of fire's strength. The ability to destroy all and to burn away all of existence. However, when things reached the extreme, they would return to the opposite. Once annihilation reached the extreme, it would actually become creation. From flames flaring from nothing, that was creation. From flames starting out weak and becoming a raging inferno, that was creation. When a spark touched upon the grasslands and set the entire world ablaze, that was also creation. When fields of rice grew from the ruins made by flames, producing a greater, more abundant harvest, that was similarly creation. A star itself was a massive burning fireball. Underneath the shining light of the sun, all lives thrived, that was creation. Even in human history, because fire saved men from ignorance, mankind finally became prosperous and gave birth to a glorious martial arts civilization. Fire could destroy all life, but it could also breed all life. When a wildfire blew through a forest, it gave birth to new growth in spring. After annihilation there was creation. Hua Yenguang's comprehension of fire laws already reached the 3rd level. After crossing the 9th stage of life destruction and withstanding the baptism of the heavenly Tao, his understanding of fire laws had increased even further. He even managed to form the Blue Lotus domain. The Blue Lotus domain was a phenomenon that would occur when one's understanding of the 3rd level fire laws reached the peak. Moreover, not everyone was able to do this. Within the Blue Lotus, all life was created. It rapidly grew from several hundred feet to 10 miles in size, enveloping Lin Ming within. Haha, once you've entered my Blue Lotus domain, you'll definitely lose. Do you know what a domain is? In this domain, I control everything. The Blue Lotus domain is a true phenomenon. Only a martial artist that has the life of an emperor can accomplish this after practicing the fire laws to the extreme of the 3rd level. This sort of person is beyond rare, but I am actually someone capable of doing so. I am destined to become a new king of the divine realm. Hua Yenguang wildly laughed. Before crossing the 9th stage of life destruction, his Blue Lotus true fire was still unable to form a domain. His uncle speculated that he would be able to do so after reaching 9-fall, and his predictions came true. Go die. Blue Lotus true fire, black flames, combine. Hua Yenguang slashed out his sword. As the Blue Lotus true fire burst outward, he also poured in the black flames from the black fire blade. The billowing black flames were filled with a thick demonic energy. As the flames swept out, it seemed as if countless pained souls were being burnt within the flames, filling them with the power of death and destruction. However, the deathly black flames sent out by the black fire blade joined with the Blue Lotus true fire that symbolized the power of life, fused into one. As the surrounding disciples saw this, all of their eyes turned wide. Even the 4 divine transformation hall protectors had a change in expression. There were the Blue Lotus true fire that wielded the power of creation as well as the black flames that wielded the power of death. This was fusing life and death together, creating a new might that approached the source of the great Tao. This sort of attack was the highest manifestation of Hua Yenguang's understanding of the laws of the heavens and earth. Even if someone on the level of Song Baifeng were standing here, the power behind this attack would instantly kill them. Incredible. This attack is too fierce. After reaching 9-fall, Hua Yenguang's understanding towards the heavenly Tao has greatly strengthened. He's actually able to use such a move. Life and death are originally 2 polar opposites, wanting to fuse them is easier said than done. Prepare yourselves. When Lin Ming is defeated, we must instantly save him. Do not let his life be in danger or we won't be able to deal with the consequences. The 4 divine transformation realm hall protectors gathered their potential, preparing to rescue Lin Ming. This was their duty as the arbiters and witnesses of this battle. As Lin Ming faced this monstrous flame, his complexion slightly changed. Without having crossed the 9th stage of life destruction and withstanding the baptism of the heavenly Tao, it was impossible for him to compare with such a mysterious comprehension of laws. A 9-fall genius of the divine realm was no simple matter. Since he couldn't compare with comprehension of laws, he could only break through with absolute strength. Lin Ming started to recite a string of strange syllables. Except for himself, no one was able to understand what he was saying. The world originates from grand mist. You are the source of all creation. When fire creates life, that is also you creating life. You are the home to which all returns after destruction. When all life is destroyed, everything shall return to grand mist. The annihilation of fire is also your annihilation. The space you form shatters all laws. Fire belongs to the 5 elements. The 5 elements cannot exist. Life and death belong to essence energy. Essence energy cannot exist. In that moment, Lin Ming's eyes bloomed with a black-gray light. A faint mist formed in Lin Ming's eyes. That was the elementary form of Grand Mist energy. After hiding the dazzling Prime Emperor Lotus flower, the Grand Mist space was compressed to an area of 50 feet around Lin Ming. However, this sort of compression actually caused the Grand Mist space around Lin Ming to be even more solid and realistic. What could the Blue Lotus domain even be considered as? In this world, Grand Mist was the origin of all things. Grand Mist space was the most source domain. The Blue Lotus domain could only be considered a tiny branch of the concept of fire. It was simply unable to compare. Kyla. The atmosphere trembled. A tearing sound filled the air. The dual flames released by Huoyenguang were actually constantly annihilated by some invisible strength. Lin Ming was like a divine dragon leaping through the sea, crashing through the winds and waves, unstoppable and indomitable. All the fire was completely broken by the Phoenix Blood Spear. Whether it was the Blue Lotus True Fire that wielded the power of creation or the Black Flames that wielded the power of death, both were suppressed by the Grand Mist space. Concept of creation? Concept of death? If all fire was extinguished, what laws could there still be? What? Huoyenguang never imagined that this could happen. Lin Ming had been struck by his black flames with the power of death within them and should have been struggling to suppress his energy. Against this all-out attack of his, Lin Ming shouldn't have had the strength to resist. He should have been defeated and severely wounded, but the result ran contrary to all his expectations. Lin Ming actually broke through his finishing blow. As Huoyenguang saw Lin Ming barreling towards him, he felt as if he were facing some ancient god. It was like some ancient god had resurrected and arrived in this world. The aura Lin Ming exuded was the boundless vigor and atmosphere of Grand Mist energy. It was not a strength that a mortal should have. The pressure of this energy left everyone stricken. Many of the disciples present thought Lin Ming was bound to lose. But Lin Ming managed to use some move that was so potent that Huoyenguang's fused flames of death and creation were completely annihilated. What kind of strength is that? Even my heart is racing from it. That incomparably mystical energy has an aura of an unrivaled powerhouse from the divine realm, but it just doesn't have the power behind it. The four hall protectors were stunned. They were planning on saving Lin Ming, but now they might have to save Huoyenguang instead. My domain, my Blue Lotus domain was broken. Huoyenguang could clearly feel that the Blue Lotus domain he was so proud of, the Blue Lotus domain that he had declared that only a peerless emperor-level talent could have, was actually ruthlessly torn apart by some invisible power coming from Lin Ming, as if it were nothing but paper. How can this be? What kind of strength is this? Is this also a domain? Damn it all. You are ferocious enough, but do you think you've won just by breaking it once? Huoyenguang's pride was torn apart just like his Blue Lotus domain. That Blue Lotus domain had actually collapsed at the first strike. He stepped on the ghostly firefade steps and drew back while he repeatedly slashed out with the black fire blade. A bronze flow of energy shot out from between his eyebrows, condensing into a small sword that fused into his domain. Bronze perfection, divine sword battle spirit, reinforce my domain. A battle spirit was invisible and intangible. It could be added to anything to strengthen its power and tenacity. At this moment, Huoyenguang used his greatest strength, utilizing every ability he had. Domain, laws, true essence, and battle spirit, he used everything to win this fight and his consumption was equally great. As Huoyenguang's battle spirit fused into the Blue Lotus domain, the domain was immediately augmented, causing Lin Ming's speed to be greatly hindered. Lin Ming's lips curved up in a smile. Silver perfection, Grand Mist battle spirit, break this domain for me. A silver-gray battle spirit shot out from between Lin Ming's eyebrows and fused into the Phoenix Blood Spear. The Saint Spear's edge became far sharper than before. This battle spirit was only a step away from reaching the gold level. After reaching the gold battle spirit boundary, he could use the battle spirit to directly kill others. He wouldn't even need to attach it to anything. There were even those that could project the battle spirit world into the real world, causing a martial artist to be lost within it. Against a battle spirit that was just a single step away from reaching the gold level, how could Huoyenguang's battle spirit compare? Not to mention, Lin Ming's battle spirit was tempered in Grand Mist energy and had taken in the Grand Mist attribute. Peng, peng, peng. The Blue Lotus domain was ripped open. The Blue Lotus true fire and burning black flames were all swept away by Lin Ming's Phoenix Blood Spear. They melted away like snow underneath the blazing sun, fading into nihility. This was overpowering, completely overpowering. Perfect silver battle spirit? Is that a perfect silver battle spirit? Am I imagining things? A divine transformation realm hall protector's eyes widened like two full moons. Because Lin Ming's battle spirit had a special attribute, he wasn't able to confirm at first. But after seeing the shape and power of the battle spirit, he could tell that it was undoubtedly a perfect silver battle spirit. What kind of joke is this? He's only at the 5th stage of life destruction and I am at the late divine transformation realm. We're separated by the entire divine sea realm as well as 4 stages of life destruction and 3 boundaries of divine transformation. But even so, his battle spirit is only a level worse than mine. Of the 4 hall protectors, besides the leader of the 4 who had a small success gold level battle spirit, the other 3 had elementary gold battle spirits. That was only a single level better than Lin Ming's perfect silver battle spirit. From the 5th stage of life destruction to late divine transformation, that was a difference of a ridiculous number of boundaries, and yet their battle spirits were only a single level apart. As for the other disciples, their battle spirit mostly paused at the bronze level. There were only some outstanding middle and late divine sea disciples that were able to achieve an elementary silver level battle spirit. As for silver perfection, not even an early divine transformation realm martial artist might be able to accomplish that. More importantly, they could see that Lin Ming's battle spirit was of an extremely high quality and even had a special attribute to it. When Lin Ming's battle spirit broke into the gold level, his comprehensive strength would rise by a massive amount. A perfect silver Grand Mist battle spirit combined with the strongest Grand Mist space domain collided against the perfect bronze ordinary battle spirit combined with the 3rd level concept of Fire's Blue Lotus domain. What kind of result would that produce? Not even utterly overpowering was enough to describe it. Chapter 979 can only be described as miserable. Chapter 979 can only be described as miserable. Blue Lotus domain's force field was like a fragile shell of sugar that cracked without end. In just 1% of an instant, Lin Ming's spear already reached the front of Huoyenguang's chest. The spear light hadn't arrived yet, but Huoyenguang could already feel that he was covered in some sort of strange space. He could not feel this space and he could not see this space, but he knew that it existed. As he was stuck in this space, he felt as if he were caught in a quagmire. It immensely shocked him. What is this? With Huoyenguang's experience and knowledge, how could he possibly recognize the Grand Mist space? He only thought that this was some sort of strange space. His energy, his body, and even his soul came under a great suppressive pressure. The movement of energy in his body was blocked, and his meridians and even his heart were overwhelmed, finding it hard to withstand. His protective true essence nearly broke apart. Phoenix Blood Spear, Phoenix True Blood. Lin Ming loudly shouted out as he combusted the blood of the ancient phoenix in his body. He thrusted his spear straight toward the point between Huoyenguang's eyebrows. In that moment, a dark blood-red light emerged from the Phoenix Blood Spear, twisting into a blood-colored storm. This blood-colored storm was formed of 999 small spears. These small spears were all formed by blood, and this blood contained a nearly endless infernal energy and infinite divine might. This was the Phoenix True Blood contained within the Phoenix Blood Spear. The Phoenix Blood Spear was forged by a senior Supreme Elder, using a special technique that sealed 999 drops of phoenix blood within it to form an array that represented 9 through 9 to return to 1. The original master of the Phoenix Blood Spear could ignite their ancient phoenix blood to stimulate the array formation within, and the 999 drops of phoenix blood would form spears that attacked the enemy. This was the greatest killing move contained within the Phoenix Blood Spear. The Phoenix Blood Spear's attack even surpassed the Thunderfire Dual Dao diagram attack formed from burning the ancient phoenix blood and releasing the purple lion thunder source. This was the might of a top-grade saint artifact. Lin Ming, you have forced me to do this. Huoyenguang's face fiercely twisted. At this critical moment he bit down on the tip of his tongue and spat out a mouthful of blood essence on the black fire blade. The black fire blade absorbed Hua Yenguang's blood essence and violently trembled, emitting a faint ringing sound. To a martial artist of the ancient Phoenix clan, solely burning the blood of the ancient Phoenix would cause a massive increase in the consumption of true essence. In a way, it was the same as combusting one's true essence to erupt with a greater strength. If true essence was burnt away, it could still be restored, but one's life blood essence was different. If blood essence was burnt away, there would be that much less. In a gambling fight between disciples of Phoenix Hall, burning one's life blood essence was truly going all out. Black fire blade, burn down the world. An incomparably mighty sword strike slashed outward. Hua Yenguang burnt his blood essence to drive the power of the black fire blade, increasing the power of the sword by 3 times its usual state. However, 3 times was still not enough. As the black flames entered the Grand Mist space, the majority of the power was weakened by the Grand Mist space. In the end, even though Hua Yenguang burnt his blood essence, the power of his attack only rose by 30%. How could the black fire blade that only increased in power by 30% possibly contend with the Phoenix blood spear that attacked with all of its strength? Bang! The deathly black flames were torn apart by the 999 blood spears. The blood spears finally gathered, forming a crimson torrent of light that smashed into Hua Yenguang's protective true essence. Peng! Hua Yenguang's protective true essence exploded like glass. As his protective true essence shattered, the robes he wore began to shine with a faint red light. This was the protection of the high-grade saint artifact, the 9-feathered heaven robe. For an attack to wound Hua Yenguang, it first had to break through the protection of the 9-feathered heaven robe. But how could the high-grade saint artifact rank 9-feathered heaven robe compare with the Phoenix blood spear, a weapon that was almost a transcendent saint artifact? The Phoenix blood spear also had the source strength of the old palace master sealed within it. The 9-feathered heaven robe's barrier of light got destroyed. The surging torrent of light formed by the 999 blood spears smashed into Hua Yenguang's chest. Puff! Hua Yenguang felt as if he was struck by a million jin steel ball. Blood spewed out from his body and he flew backward like a broken sack. Blood wet his chest even as it sprinkled to the ground. Hua Yenguang was injured. He vomited blood. His wound is even greater than Lin Ming's. What just happened? Hua Yenguang was just about to win, but everything suddenly changed. The Phoenix Hall disciples were spooked silly. The battlefield situation had changed too fast, they simply weren't able to keep up. After Lin Ming exchanged 2 probing strikes with Hua Yenguang, only then did the true all-out fight begin. That was the bloodshed began. It had to be known that when Phoenix Hall disciples dueled each other, they would probe again and again, hiding their cards in hand and slowly reveal them one at a time until they reached 100 collisions in a single go. Only then would the outcome be decided. When would it be like the fight between Lin Ming and Hua Yenguang, where blood was shed nearly the moment they stepped on stage? One had formed the 999 blood spear array of the Phoenix blood spear and used a mighty unknown martial skill. The other had burnt their life blood essence. How was this a gambling battle between fellow disciples? This was more like a life or death duel between bitter enemies. They desperately attacked to force the other into the jaws of death. The 4 hall protectors that were bearing witness to this fight were highly vigilant, prepared to act at a moment's notice. They were ready to rescue Lin Ming, but the one they needed to save was Hua Yenguang. Hua Yenguang was a talented disciple of the Hua family clan. If he were beaten up, the Hua family clan couldn't do anything about that. But if he were killed, it'd be a major problem. That was not something they could afford to have happen under their watch. Although they were supposed to be the arbiters of this battle, they also felt bitter about the situation. To them, life-destruction martial artists were nothing but children. When 2 children fought, there shouldn't be any dangers with 4 adults watching from the side. But now, their minds were all at a high degree of concentration, with none of them daring to even blink. This fight was simply far too ruthless. Lin Ming's attack severely wounded Hua Yenguang, but he didn't show any mercy. He grasped the Phoenix blood spear and stepped upon golden rock, shattering the void. The gate of wonder opened as he rushed forth once more. The Grand Mist battle spirit fused into the Phoenix blood spear again. The Phoenix blood spear emitted an excited whistling cry. In that moment, a blood-red phoenix phantom formed above the phoenix blood spear. This was not a phenomenon created by Lin Ming, but one naturally formed by the 999 drops of ancient phoenix blood from the phoenix blood spear. This was dozens of times or even 100 times more formidable than the golden phoenix formed by Lin Ming burning his own ancient phoenix blood. Hua Yenguang watched this spear thrusting towards him and hurriedly released a golden pill furnace. As this pill furnace appeared, it spun round and round, releasing a brilliant golden light that seemed to contain a golden crow. This was Hua Yenguang's high-grade saint artifact pill furnace, the sun-melting furnace. As Hua Yenguang released the sun-melting furnace, he flew forward and entered it. He used this pill furnace to defend, not to attack. To use the sun-melting furnace to attack Lin Ming with his unstoppable rainbow-like momentum was simply a dream. Lin Ming didn't change his actions at all. His spear smashed down as before, like a mountain was falling, as if the heavens and earth were collapsing. Clang! Like the tail whip of a divine dragon, the phoenix blood spear pounded the sun-melting furnace. The sun-melting furnace was hammered by Lin Ming's spear. It flew down like a ball and crashed into the ground. Bang! With a loud explosive sound, the furnace hit the ground like a meteor. The ground cracked apart, and Hua Yenguang as well as the sun-melting furnace penetrated deep into the ground, completely buried. As the martial artists present saw this scene, they fell silent. The sudden change in this battle was too sudden, it left them dumbfounded and stumped. The battle was far too short. Everything occurred in the blink of an eye, leaving them too little time to be shocked or even to react. In particular, the moment when Lin Ming had beaten the sun-melting furnace, with Hua Yenguang inside, into the ground. Even words like bloodthirsty, savage, or brutal weren't enough to describe this. This is like a dream. Lin Ming has comprehended a perfect silver battle spirit. Am I imagining things? An early Divine Sea disciple muttered. During this battle, what shocked him the most was not the sudden change in tides, it was not Lin Ming's amazing strength, nor was it the unrivaled might and majesty of the phoenix blood spear. No, it was Lin Ming's perfect silver battle spirit, a battle spirit that was only a single step away from reaching the gold level boundary. In comparison to his cultivation, this martial artist's battle spirit wasn't too bad, it was at the large success bronze level. Although he couldn't compare to those 9-4 geniuses, he was still capable enough. But compared to Lin Ming now, the difference was like clouds and muds. Bang! The lid of the sun-melting furnace flew off and a blooded Hua Yenguang crawled out. At this time, the sun-melting furnace was like a coffin buried deep in the ground, and Hua Yenguang with a face wet with blood looked like a zombie, wriggling his way out. Lin Ming, you, Hua Yenguang was angry from shame. He wanted to spit out some malicious words to maintain whatever face he had left, but as he opened his mouth to speak all that came out was a gurgling mouthful of blood. He couldn't even remain steady. Pill furnace, divine tripods, those types of magic tools could be used defensively, but they weren't defensive type magic tools in the end. If one hid inside, they could block a direct attack, but they still had to withstand the shaking force. This sort of feeling was no better. All of Hua Yenguang's bones were broken, his meridians were torn, and his blood vessels had burst open. His entire body was like a leaking bag of blood. In this sort of situation, Hua Yenguang already knew that the battle was as good as lost. However, he still couldn't accept this result. Forgetting the fact he was beaten into the ground in front of everyone, he wanted to suicide by smashing his head into the wall when he thought of the 2 high-grade saint artifacts and 20 drops of phoenix plume blood. The 2 high-grade saint artifacts accounted for most of his wealth, and the 20 drops of phoenix plume blood were borrowed, he had to return it. Not just that, but when he broke through to the 9th stage of life destruction, he had borrowed another 20 drops of phoenix plume blood from his uncle. Hua Yenguang had promised he would return all of this phoenix plume blood. His original thoughts were that his strength would rapidly increase once he had the phoenix blood spear, and once he was able to perceive the mysterious laws within, he would be able to rapidly reach the Divine Sea realm. He would have more than enough time to return the phoenix plume blood. But now, everything he had was gone. He owed 40 drops of phoenix plume blood and a majority of his wealth had been lost. In his life, he had never suffered such a miserable loss before. Chapter 980, Phoenix Plume Blood in Hand. Chapter 980, Phoenix Plume Blood in Hand. Hua Yenguang was beaten up by Lin Ming so bad that over half his blood vessels had burst apart. Victory and defeat were already decided. The leading hall protector came down from the air and glanced at Hua Yenguang. He sighed. He was a genius amongst the juniors of the Hua family clan. Without mentioning his background, the resources he enjoyed were far superior to those of a common disciple. He had formed a 12-mile origin energy cloud that covered his entire residence and withstood the baptism of the heavenly Tao, surprising the entire Phoenix Hall. His limelight was unmatched, and even some divine Lord Elders of Phoenix Cry Palace were disturbed. With such a story, today should have been the greatest and most celebrated moment in Hua Yenguang's life. Today should have been the day he carved the confidence and belief of victory into his bones, and used this power to overwhelm Lin Ming and win the Phoenix Blood Spear. He would have really been a chosen pride of heaven with a great destiny gathered in his body. With his 4-level layered heaven's 9th stage life destruction as well as the immense destiny placed on him, his future achievements were infinite. However, fate always made fools of men. Hua Yenguang had lost, and he had lost in such a miserable way that he couldn't be any more miserable. Without mentioning the 20 drops of Phoenix Plume Blood, the 2 top high-grade saint artifacts were meticulously and lovingly raised by Hua Yenguang. He received them during the revolving core realm and slowly built them up. The artifacts even shared the same roots with him. Giving them to others was the same as cutting off his own flesh. To a martial artist, the magic instruments they carefully raised would never be lent to others. If others were to fuse their own spirit marks, true essence, and other energies into it, the quality of the magic instrument would suffer. Once it returned to the owner's hands, they would have to slowly refine it again over time. This was also the reason why Hua Yenguang was only able to borrow an ordinary top-grade saint artifact from his uncle. A lifelong magic weapon could be said to be similar to a martial artist's wife. Who was willing to lend their wife to others to use? But now, Hua Yenguang had to look helplessly on as he lost his 2 wives to someone else. This caused him to nearly vomit blood again. Just how proud was a genius? Even if it were a mortal, if they were ruthlessly trampled on in public and also had to compensate others with their property along with their 2 most beautiful wives, that taste would truly be hard to swallow. There were some hot-headed mortals that could get sick from anger, some even died. But if it were a martial artist instead, this wouldn't happen to them. However, their thoughts wouldn't be smooth and this would affect their cultivation. Hua Yenguang, I hereby judge that Lin Ming won the battle. Do you wish to object? The hall protector didn't want to rub salt onto Hua Yenguang's wounds. However, in this sort of gambling battle, one needed to consult the participants in order to decide the outcome. Hua Yenguang's complexion was grim. He glared at Lin Ming, unable to say anything. For him to personally acknowledge out loud that he had lost was something he just couldn't do. What about it? Do you still want to fight? If you do, I'll accompany you. However, I can't guarantee you won't suffer even worse injuries. Lin Ming's voice was loud and clear, bringing with it a rolling momentum and power, shocking the entire audience. Everything in life comes and goes. I will remember today's humiliation. Hua Yenguang gnashed out these last ruthless words to keep up the fading tatters of his honor and then turned around to leave. Lin Ming faintly smiled and said, Hua Yenguang, have you forgotten something? The words stabbed Hua Yenguang like sharp knives, grating on his ears. Lin Ming was certainly speaking of the 2 high-grade saint artifacts. Hua Yenguang was already at the edge of the altar. He stopped and with a deep breath he grit his teeth, took off his 9-feathered heaven robe, and passed it along with the sun-melting furnace to Lin Ming. Before handing over his magic tools, he also had to personally erase the spirit marks he had left on them after he had so assiduously raised them these past years. If he didn't remove the spirit marks and they were refined by Lin Ming instead, that would have caused damage to his soul. Nice. I was just lacking some clothes. Lin Ming caught the 9-feathered heaven robe and sun-melting furnace as they flew toward him. When Lin Ming ascended to the divine realm, he left the Demon Emperor armor and the coiling martial divine furnace with Mu Qianyu. He didn't have any protective armor right now and the Demon Emperor armor was only a low-grade saint artifact to begin with. It was unable to compare with the 9-feathered heaven robe. As for the sun-melting furnace, that came at a perfect time. Lin Ming's cosmic melting furnace was originally only a quasi-saint artifact. It was sufficient when he was at the Sky-Spill continent, but now the furnace was having difficulties withstanding the intensities of his flames. The ancient Phoenix clan was a sect that controlled fire. There were many alchemist grandmasters and refining grandmasters in the clan. The quality of pill furnaces the ancient Phoenix clan forged were absolutely first class in the divine realm. If I knew about this, I would have left the cosmic melting furnace in the lower realms. It seems that when I inherited the great desolate blood halberd left behind by the Demon Emperor as well as the cosmic melting furnace and Demon Emperor armor, those items were not things that were left behind when the Demon Emperor was in a hurry, but rather he did it intentionally so that others could inherit them. Lin Ming estimated that the Demon Emperor's cultivation was around the middle-late Divine Sea when he ascended to the Divine Realm. Moreover, he definitely had experienced additional lucky chances in the Eternal Demon Abyss. There was no need for him to bring low-grade saint artifacts with him. Although the martial artists of the lower realms were far inferior to the martial artists of the Divine Realm, this was because they lacked resources, masters, inheritances, talent, and even the origin energy of their lands was nearly barren. Because those lower realms martial artists had to suffer through fierce and brutal competition to emerge from a world of trillions of people, those martial artists that managed to ascend to the divine realms were ultimately the most outstanding of individuals. They were the chosen amongst the chosen prides of heaven, and they all gathered a great destiny on their bodies. In terms of will and mentality, they often exceeded martial artists of the divine realm. Their potential was enormous. Especially in the Sky-Spill continent where the world was blocked off by a barrier, the heaven and earth origin energy was even more desolate. A martial artist that could cultivate to an 8th stage life destruction in the Sky-Spill continent could often have even greater achievements in the divine realm than a 9th stage life destruction martial artist. It had to be known that in the last 100,000 years of the Sky-Spill continent, there were very few individuals that ascended. The Demon Emperor, Emperor Sokia, and the Sorcerer of the Southern Wilderness each had great accomplishments when they ascended to the divine realm. Although they weren't able to become a holy lord, they were still able to control their own territory. One could infer this from the fact that the Demon Emperor was qualified to participate in the battle for the Magic Cube. Congratulations, junior apprentice Brother Lin. After Hua Yenguang left, the leading hall protector smiled. He handed the vial of phoenix plume blood to Lin Ming. There were only 20 drops of phoenix plume blood and it was placed in a small jade vial. As Lin Ming received it, he could feel it sink in his palm. These 20 drops of phoenix plume blood were actually equal to a 180 jin heavy weapon. The blood within a phoenix god beast's body was divided into different ranks. The highest ranking blood was the phoenix blood essence. A single drop of phoenix blood essence had an inestimable value. It was a treasure that could not be measured with saint artifacts, regardless of how many. Below that was phoenix coronet blood. Phoenix coronet blood had the property of pure yang, and it was an extremely beneficial treasure to martial artists that cultivated pure yang energy. Its value was also inestimable. Followed by that was phoenix marrow blood, phoenix heart blood, phoenix plume blood, and various other types of blood. At the lowest end of the spectrum was ordinary phoenix blood. Ordinary phoenix blood was about the same weight as an ordinary martial artist's blood. A phoenix god beast was thousands, or even tens of thousands of miles long. Within the body of such a massive beast, there were trillions of jins of blood. If this blood rained down, it could drown a city. This was also the reason why divine realm martial artists were able to use such precious phoenix blood. Otherwise, as an unrivaled god beast, how could anyone obtain the blood of an ancient phoenix? Lin Ming uncapped the small jade vial and took a deep breath. He could immediately feel a rich pure yang energy waft out. Through just smelling the blood, he could feel a hot flow of energy rush into his meridians, solidifying his cultivation and giving him great benefits. If he could have Fairy Feng fuse this phoenix plume blood into his body when he crossed the 6th stage of life destruction, just what effect would it have? The hall protector smiled and said, "Junior apprentice Brother Lin, quickly close it again." This jade vial has a special trait, and that is that it can prevent the pure yang energy of the phoenix plume blood to escape. If you open bottle for too long, the phoenix plume blood will lose its energy. The hall protector was speaking to Lin Ming in a friendly manner, much more respectful than he would have normally been. As for the other disciples, their eyes were filled with awe as they looked at Lin Ming. Yes, that was awe. In the past, when they had known that Lin Ming obtained the phoenix blood spear, they had thoughts of jealousy and envy cross their minds. In their hearts, they wondered why Saint Artifact Pavilion's artifact spirit approved of Lin Ming. They had thoughts of stepping over Lin Ming's fame in the future and proving that they themselves were the most extraordinary disciples. After all, just taking the Phoenix Blood Spear wasn't too special. A saint artifact on the level of the Phoenix Blood Spear would be obtained by others a few times every 100 years. As for a more ordinary top-grade saint artifact, they'd be taken away every 2 to 3 years. But now, with Lin Ming's 5th stage life destruction strength, he managed to defeat the 9th stage life destruction Huoyangguang. The envy that filled their hearts now turned to awe. Lin Ming's talent and achievements were simply incredible. If Lin Ming's talent was slightly better than theirs, they would still envy him. But if Lin Ming's talent far surpassed theirs, they could no longer feel envy. They could only look up and worship him. This was similar to the chief disciple of Phoenix Hall, White Dao Hong. To him, all the other young disciples only felt a deep awe. This is truly heaven-defying. A 5th stage life destruction martial artist defeated the 4-layered heaven's 9th stage life destruction Huoyangguang. That is a difference of 4 stages of life destruction. Moreover, from 8-fall to 9-fall, although it can't be compared to Greater Boundary, it's still around half of one. While undergoing 9-fall, a martial artist would undergo a baptism of the heavenly Tao and their comprehension of laws would soar by a great deal. But their true essence wouldn't increase by much. The benefits of 9-fall were mostly embodied in the tempering of the soul. Soul force was only the carrier of true essence and laws. It didn't have an immediate influence on actual combat strength. He's too strong. That's a difference of 4 stages of life destruction. Although the 999 blood spear array within the Phoenix blood spear could make up for a part of it, that's at most a small boundary. To overcome a disparity of 3 stages of life destruction is extraordinary. No kidding. Jumping 3 stages of life destruction to fight isn't considered much, but the problem here is that Huoyangguang is also a genius amongst geniuses. He even far surpasses the 9th stage life destruction Huang Yugong from several years ago. We are inferior to Huoyangguang, but even if our cultivations were several small boundaries above his, we would still be defeated. Yet Lin Ming defeated Huoyangguang with an even lower cultivation than his. That's just unbelievable. I wonder how Lin Ming's talent compares to senior apprentice brother White Dao Hong? A disciple suddenly asked in a hushed whisper. To these disciples, White Dao Hong was the only person in Phoenix Hall worthy of being called the number 1 disciple. Whether it was talent or potential, he far exceeded everyone else. In terms of cultivation, he had already broken through to divine transformation. Chapter 981, 6th Stage Life Destruction. Chapter 981, 6th Stage Life Destruction. White Dao Hong also received the approval of Saint Artifact Pavilion's artifact spirit, and had taken the number 1 top-grade Saint Artifact that hung there at the time. Moreover, he too inherited a portion of the old Palace Master's source strength. In the minds of the junior disciples of Phoenix Hall, White Dao Hong was synonymous with a living god. When he crossed the 9th stage of life destruction, an origin energy cloud that spread out for 18 miles formed. That was a 6-layered heaven's 9th stage life destruction. Compared with Huoyangguang, the difference was tremendous. A gambling fight between Lin Ming and Huoyangguang was a big deal to an ordinary disciple, but to someone like White Dao Hong it was the same as 2 talented children wrestling with each other. He didn't even appear to watch the battle. A contest between life destruction level powerhouses simply wasn't worthy of his attention. Compared to senior apprentice brother White Dao Hong, I feel Lin Ming is a bit worse, a disciple said somewhat unsure. In fact, he could faintly feel that Lin Ming's talent already surpassed the White Dao Hong of the past. However, just as these words were on the tip of his tongue, he changed his words. This was due to the power and influence accumulated by White Dao Hong over such a long time. These ordinary disciples already subconsciously recognized White Dao Hong as an insurmountable existence, undefeatable. Could senior apprentice brother White Dao Hong have defeated a Ninefall master at the 5th stage of life destruction? Another uncertain disciple asked. This was because this sort of jumping ranks to battle was just far too incredible. It was the reason why no one had believed Lin Ming could win, because even someone like White Dao Hong couldn't have done it. At this moment, a divine transformation realm disciple said, "He cannot. Although senior apprentice brother White Dao Hong is fierce, he absolutely could not have defeated a four-layered heaven's Ninefall master during the 5th stage of life destruction. In terms of strength at the same level, senior apprentice brother White Dao Hong is not inferior to Lin Ming, but they simply cannot compare in terms of battle spirit. It seems that senior apprentice brother White Dao Hong's battle spirit boundary is currently at gold perfection. He's just a step away from reaching the next level." The early divine transformation realm martial artist who spoke only had an 8th grade life destruction base. But his experience was far greater than the divine sea and life destruction juniors here. He was one of the people who climbed up in White Dao Hong's era, and had seen him personally fight. Of course, his words held a much greater authority. He is stronger than senior apprentice brother White Dao Hong if both of them were at the same level. Several disciples gasped. This was a bit inconceivable. Saint Artifact Pavilion's artifact spirit is indeed a senior that has existed for nearly 1,000,000 years. For these several hundred thousands of years it has seen hundreds of millions of heroic young elites. Just what type of talent has it not seen before? In terms of identifying talent, even the Palace Master cannot compare. The Palace Master that the Phoenix Hall disciple spoke of was naturally the Palace Master of the entire Phoenix Cry Palace. He was also Fairy Feng and Sage Joyang's honorable master. To these ordinary disciples, such a character was the same as a legend. Even the disciples of Phoenix Hall, and even some divine Lord Realm elders didn't have the qualifications to see him. He is indeed stronger than senior apprentice brother White Dao Hong was at that level. But, as the divine transformation disciple spoke to here, he suddenly changed his tone. It's hard to predict what Lin Ming's future achievements will be like depending on just this point, and whether or not he will become someone more formidable than senior apprentice brother White Dao Hong. To seek Ninefall and pass through the 9 divine shifts, his first step is to step into the 9th stage of life destruction. That will be the point when he truly starts to cultivate the heavenly Tao. The road that Lin Ming must travel is still long. Who can guarantee that his future will continue to be smooth, or that he can even continue walking down the road for much longer? You must know that the reason senior apprentice brother White Dao Hong can have such great achievements now is because he encountered a massive lucky chance during the Divine Sea realm, cementing his status as the chief disciple of Phoenix Hall. If Lin Ming wishes to compare with senior apprentice White Dao Hong, he'll first have to enter the Divine Sea realm, the late Divine Sea realm, and the early Divine Transformation realm. Only then can we see clues into his future success. In order to become a true top talent and rush to the level of Palace Master in the future, every step he takes must shake the heavens and tremble the earth. The final evaluation that this divine transformation martial artist gave of Lin Ming was fair and objective. If one was successful during the life destruction realm, that didn't mean they would continue to have such success in the future. It only meant they had a chance of reaching the Holy Lord realm. As for whether or not they could grasp that chance, that remained to be seen. What kind of existence was a Holy Lord? Even in the vast divine realm, a Holy Lord was a master of their own land. The patriarch of the ancient Phoenix clan was also a Holy Lord. The ancient Phoenix clan was in truth a Holy Land-level influence within the divine realm. That was not Phoenix Cry Palace, but the totality of the 72 palaces and 3 great family clans of the ancient Phoenix clan combined. They had a population of over 100 billion disciples, endless geniuses, a massive volume of divine transformation realm powerhouses, numerous divine lord realm powerhouses, 648 vice palace masters, and 72 palace masters. Even above that were the highest elders, disciplinary elders, enlightening elders, and various other elders that were in seclusion. That combined with the 3 great family clans comprised the ancient Phoenix land and was a Holy Land level influence. Compared to the 9 Furnace Divine Kingdom, This sort of holy land was like comparing a giant dragon to a tiny ant. For someone to be able to become the highest leader of this holy land, the power of a holy lord-level powerhouse could be imagined. No matter how talented Lin Ming was, or how talented White Dao Hong was, they were both far from becoming a holy lord. Fellow senior apprentice brother protectors, I must visit Senior Fairy Feng and close up so that I can prepare to reach the next realm. I thank you all for bearing witness to the gambling battle just now. Thank you and farewell. Haha, Junior Apprentice Brother Lin's progress is indeed fast. You want to attack the 6th stage of life destruction? Well, it does seem that Junior Apprentice Brother Lin's cultivation has reached perfection of the 5th stage of life destruction. You will be able to enter the 6th stage of life destruction at any moment now. Once Junior Apprentice Brother Lin reaches the 6th stage of life destruction, then under the same conditions I think you might even be able to contend a bit with a 9-fall Divine Sea powerhouse. The 9th stage of life destruction to the Divine Sea was a large boundary, but 5th stage life destruction to 6th stage life destruction was only a small boundary. If Lin Ming reached the 6th stage of life destruction, then under these conditions where both sides had a top-quality saint artifact, it was still impossible for Lin Ming to frontally fight with a 9-fall Divine Sea Master. The most he would be able to do was to save his own life. In order to truly contend with a 9-fall Divine Sea Master with a top-grade saint artifact, he would have to reach at least the 7th stage of life destruction. Moreover, that was only being able to struggle with them for a little bit. Lin Ming faintly smiled, not responding. He knew that he still had a very long road ahead of him. Today he defeated Hu Yenguang with overwhelming force, but the truth was that he used almost every skill available to him, and that even accounted for the advantage of the Phoenix Blood Spear. If he didn't have the Phoenix Blood Spear and also didn't have the Primordius Martial Intent, Lin Ming would never have defeated Hu Yenguang. A 9-fall genius of the Divine Realm was no common elite of their era. After Lin Ming said his farewells, he transformed into a beam of light and flew straight toward Fairy Feng's palace. Fairy Feng had already received news of what happened before Lin Ming arrived. This news was sent by the several hall protectors. It was possible to receive some rewards in reporting this sort of good news. They certainly didn't want to miss out on such an opportunity. A 5th stage life destruction martial artist defeated the 4-layered heavens 9-fall Hu Yenguang. Fairy Feng's expression changed as she heard this news. This was truly incredible. A lower realms martial artist is said to have great potential, but their weak points are their talent and their cultivation speed. This is because the resources of the lower realms are simply unable to compare with the divine realm. I knew Lin Ming was extraordinary, but I didn't know the limits of his strength. I only expected he would grow in the future and completely dig out his potential, but I never thought he would have such great strength at only the 5th stage of life destruction. As Fairy Feng was thinking, a flame appeared in front of her. This was a message sent from one of her maids. Honorable Master, Junior Apprentice Brother Lin has come. Oh! Fairy Feng's eyebrows arched up. Lin Ming should have come to ask me to help him break through the 6th stage of life destruction. Very well. Fairy Feng was pleased. Now that Lin Ming won the Phoenix Plumeblood, if a bit of her own collection was added, that would be able to further consolidate Lin Ming's foundation. When he broke through to the 9th stage of life destruction in the future, he would receive an even greater baptism of laws. Send him in. Fairy Feng's sound transmission was sent out. A moment later, Lin Ming arrived at the grand hall where she was. Senior Fairy Feng, the reason that this disciple requests to see Senior is to ask for help in breaking through to the 6th stage of life destruction and also to request that Senior Fairy Feng can act as a protector for this junior. 6th stage life destruction, very good. Fairy Feng sized up Lin Ming. He had indeed reached perfection of the 5th stage, his foundation could not become any more solid either. It was rare for this sort of scene to appear in the body of a lower realms martial artist. The resources of the lower realms were barren and their inheritances were limited. This caused many talents to take detours and shortcuts. Lin Ming, I've already heard of your victory over Hu Yenguang. You've done well, very well. Although you revealing your strength may draw some trouble, I have always advocated strength above all. If you can clearly defeat your opponent, then why should you cower and hide? That is not the style of a martial artist. I also heard you won 20 drops of phoenix plume blood, is that right? Yes. Bring them out. All right. Lin Ming swept the extreme violet ring and a small jade vial flew out. Fairy Feng grasped the vial and swept her sense through it. It were indeed 20 drops of phoenix plume blood. She took a deep breath, then took out a giant red feather from her spatial ring. This feather was 30 feet long and nearly reached the dome of the Grand Hall. Lin Ming only needed to glance at this feather in front of him to sense a cold light and a sharp intent. He didn't doubt that if this feather was used as a weapon, it could stab a top master death. Phoenix feather? Lin Ming asked. Yes. It's exactly a phoenix feather. When you cross the 6th stage of life destruction, that is the last pass of you shattering your core. After reaching the 6th stage of life destruction, that is when you will start tempering your soul. In seeking Ninefall, the path is divided into 3 stages of 3. They are called essence, energy, and soul. Essence meant the physical form and blood essence. The first 3 stages cultivated essence, meaning they decomposed the mortal body to form a spirit body. Energy was origin energy and true essence. When others said to concentrate energy into the Dantian, that was because the Dantian contained energy. The second 3 stages of life destruction cultivated this energy. That was to shatter the Dantian and reform the revolving core. Soul meant divine soul. The final 3 stages were about the soul, and this was also the most mysterious process. Essence, energy, and soul were the basis of all life, and also the basis of every martial artist's martial path. The 3 were the most fundamental aspects of martial arts. In order to seek Ninefall, one had to cultivate essence, energy, and soul to perfection before stepping into the divine sea realm, otherwise it would be extremely difficult to have great success in the future. Lin Ming's 6th stage of life destruction was the final pass in cultivating energy. He certainly had to do everything to perfection. Fairy Feng said, "Come to my chamber. I will destroy this phoenix feather and take its energy essence and fuse it into your Dantian. When you reform your core, it will bring it to perfection." Thank you, Senior Fairy Feng. Lin Ming bowed. Fairy Feng came from common origins, and in terms of wealth she was far inferior to Sage Joyang. Things such as phoenix true blood and phoenix feathers were also greatly useful to herself. For Fairy Feng to divide these resources to him was a kindness. Chapter 982, Perfect Dantian. Chapter 982, Perfect Dantian. Fairy Feng's seclusion chamber was located underneath Fengxian Palace. The entire chamber was built from Saint artifact level material, and it was also supported by an array formation. Even if there was no one specially managing it, it was still able to withstand a barrage from a late Divine Lord Boundary Master. In the center of this chamber was something that looked like a giant egg. Lin Ming was about to ask what it was when Fairy Feng wrapped him up in red light and they both entered the giant egg. This is. Lin Ming looked at his surroundings with shock. The walls were a deep red and they were incomparably thick. As he pressed on them, he could feel that the walls were highly elastic, pulsating as though they had a life of their own. This is a wall made of flesh and blood? Lin Ming asked with some disbelief. Yes, this is a flesh and blood Dao womb, an ancient supreme elder created by using the body of a catastrophic great beast. I obtained it during a treasure hunt in a mystic realm. It is a spirit artifact level treasure. However, this flesh and blood Dao womb cannot be used to attack the enemy because it does not have any striking power. It can only be used to train during seclusion. If you cultivate in this flesh and blood Dao womb, it can strengthen the essence energy within your body. If you absorb the flesh and blood essence within this flesh and blood Dao womb, there will be all sorts of interesting effects. It'll be greatly beneficial for you in crossing the 6th stage of life destruction. There are spirit artifacts like this? Lin Ming asked in a daze. In the Sky Spill continent, the types of treasures were very singular and well known. There were sabers, swords, spears, halberds, shields, helmets, and all sorts of other armors and weapons. There was a minority of jewelry-type treasures. They were extremely rare. As for this strange treasure Fairy Feng showed him, he had never seen anything like it before, nor had he thought about it. Lin Ming released his senses into the flesh and blood Tao womb. He could feel the flesh and blood essence energy rush around like a surging tide. If he cultivated here, it'd give him a great deal of help in opening the 8 inner hidden gates. Fairy Feng said, "This flesh and blood Tao womb is one of my lucky chances. For me to achieve my current accomplishments, this flesh and blood Tao womb played a great part." As Fairy Feng spoke, she raised her hand. A wisp of a pale gold flame slowly rose from the palm of her hand. The flame didn't seem as if it had the least bit of burning heat, but it actually twisted the space around it. In this flesh and blood Tao womb, the fire origin energy began to slowly circle around the pale golden flame, turning into faint firebirds, fire crows, fire wolves, fire lions, and all sorts of other spirit body-shaped animals. All creatures of flames lay prostrate in front of that golden flame in worship. This left Lin Ming flabbergasted. The flame that Fairy Feng had produced didn't even need to be controlled by her to display such a miraculous effect. This flame that contained the high principles of the great Tao was truly bewildering. This is the Nirvanic sacred flame? Yes. The Nirvanic sacred flame was not a type of flame essence. In fact, for a character like Fairy Feng, they would not raise and nourish a flame essence within their bodies. Instead, they would raise fire elementals. A flame essence was equal to a thunder soul and a fire elemental was equal to a thunder source. The divine flames left behind when a phoenix ignited itself during nirvana was combined with a high-grade fire elemental. This fusion resulted in the Nirvanic sacred flame. The grade of this flame was incomparable to the purple lion thunder source. The Nirvanic sacred flame contained the truths of rebirth through nirvana within. Breaking one's revolving core through life destruction and then reforming it was a similar process. Both were to break apart, then reform. Very well, I shall begin. I will penetrate the Nirvanic sacred flame into your body and you will begin revolving your energy to disintegrate your body. As Fairy Feng spoke, she slapped her palm on Lin Ming's stomach. The Nirvanic sacred flame immediately surged into his meridians and dantian. As long as Lin Ming controlled the eruption of energy while simultaneously galvanizing all the energy within his body, he could break apart his body. Of course, this was only under normal circumstances. What surprised Fairy Feng was that when the wisp of Nirvanic sacred flame entered Lin Ming's body, it actually seemed to lack strength. It was as though there was a strange energy within Lin Ming's body that faintly wished to devour the Nirvanic sacred flame. What is this supernatural power? It can actually suppress the Nirvanic sacred flame? Although I released the Nirvanic sacred flame, the truth is that it's only 1/1000 of the sacred flame's energy. The quality is extremely high. Ordinary supernatural powers should not be able to suppress it. Lin Ming indeed has a great destiny upon his body. Fairy Feng was surprised. She quickly searched through Lin Ming's body to see what sort of supernatural power was at work. However, after a quick pass through, she still didn't find anything. Interesting. Fairy Feng was even more surprised than before, but also pleasantly delighted. In order for a genius to grow, mere diligent cultivation and talent wasn't enough. One needed a great lucky chance, or even many of them. I was afraid that too much of the Nirvanic sacred flame would burn his meridians, but it seems my worries were unfounded. This is even better. The more of the Nirvanic sacred flame I can pour in, the more thoroughly Lin Ming's body will be tempered. As Fairy Feng thought of this, she increased the amount of Nirvanic sacred flame she was infusing into Lin Ming. In both her palms, the flames were no longer pale but a dazzling brilliant gold. Fairy Feng poured 5/1000 of the Nirvanic sacred flame's strength into Lin Ming, but this still wasn't enough. Good. Fairy Feng shot out a seal, increasing the Nirvanic sacred flame to 1%, then 2%. The brilliant golden flame wrapped around Lin Ming. The essence energy and blood essence of the flesh and blood Tao womb was also quickened as it began to slowly pour into Lin Ming's body. At this time, Lin Ming's body finally began to disintegrate. From his skin to his muscles, meridians, blood vessels, organs, skeleton, marrow, and finally even his brain, Lin Ming's entire body was decomposed, turning into the purest and tiniest particles possible as they wafted around the flesh and blood Tao womb. The revolving core crystal nucleus within Lin Ming's dantian flew out. This pitch-black revolving core crystal nucleus was actually a perfect black hole revolving core. Fairy Feng nodded appreciatively as she saw this revolving core crystal nucleus. The foundation of his revolving core crystal nucleus was so solid that even in the entire Phoenix Crypalace it was at the peak. Wisps of golden flames sprang out from her fingers and sunk into Lin Ming's revolving core crystal nucleus. The crystal nucleus began to melt, turning into the most pure and essential energy as it fused into the particles of flesh and blood. Lin Ming was currently in his weakest and most fragile state. The only reason he could maintain his life in this state was due to the support of the world laws. But if the miraculous ordered phenomenon around Lin Ming's disintegrated body was ruined, he would immediately perish into nothingness. This situation was similar to a mortal dying if their heads were cut open. There were some skilled doctors that could slice open the head to remove a brain tumor, then stitch the head back together, allowing the patient to live. However, if there was even the smallest disturbance in the surgery, the patient would die. However, with Fairy Feng's boundary, controlling all of this at the same time was a very easy and calm matter. She took out the 30-foot-long phoenix feather and began to heat it with the nirvanic sacred flame. The phoenix feather was the feather of a god beast. It was extremely tough. Even a divine lord powerhouse would find it extremely difficult to break it down, but underneath the reducing power of the nirvanic sacred flame, the phoenix feather quickly melted. The nirvanic sacred flame was originally the flames a phoenix bathed in when it was being reborn. It could burn the entire body of a phoenix, so a feather was a simple matter. Go! Fairy Feng lightly cried out and the phoenix feather melted into pure energy that fused into Lin Ming's flesh and blood. She opened the vial of phoenix plume blood. The 20 drops of phoenix plume blood flew out and exploded into a blood fog underneath the energy, fusing into Lin Ming's body. When Hua Yengguang crossed the 9th stage of life destruction, he also fused 20 drops of phoenix plume blood. But Lin Ming was able to receive such a luxurious treatment during the 6th stage of life destruction. Not only did Lin Ming have the phoenix plume blood, but he also had the essence energy of the phoenix feather to complement it, as well as Fairy Feng using her nirvanic sacred flame to temper his spirit body. This treatment surpassed even the disciples of the 3 great family clans. Only the most outstanding disciples of the 3 family clans could possibly enjoy such resources. The process of the 6th stage of life destruction could last for over a dozen days. Fairy Feng stood by the side and watched as Lin Ming's flesh and blood particles were tempered in the energy as they absorbed the blood energy of the flesh and blood Dao womb. On the 18th day, there was a sudden change in the circulation of flesh and blood particles. They began to gather. Lin Ming's 6th stage life destruction was finally coming to an end. The energy within the flesh and blood Dao Palace began to slowly fuse together. From liquid to a solid state, until the spherical crystal nucleus formed, then collapsed, and finally became a black revolving core. After passing through the reforming process of the 6th stage of life destruction, Lin Ming's revolving core was smaller, but the energy inherent within was greater and purer. With this revolving core crystal nucleus at the center, the energy condensed into the Dantian. The countless particles of flesh and blood accumulated, forming the brain, skeleton, organs, meridians, flesh, skin, and everything else. This process continued for an entire day. Lin Ming's body had taken shape and he was suspended in the air, his hands wrapped around his knees. His black hair hung down like a waterfall that hid his entire body. In this moment, Lin Ming was like a newborn baby. His body shined crystal bright as if it contained endless vitality. Slowly, both his eyes opened, clear and bright like twin stars. With a thought, fire origin energy swept up around him. It formed clouds that threaded themselves into beautiful red silk and wrapped around Lin Ming, forming clothes. As he immersed his thoughts into his body and Dantian, Lin Ming felt as though he was reborn and his Dantian had reached perfection. The phoenix plume blood and the essence energy from the phoenix feather were completely absorbed into his flesh and blood. This feeling was incomparably wonderful. Lin Ming gripped his fists together. He could feel strength filling his body. If he were to fight Hua Yengguang now, he believed he had a high chance of winning even without using the primordious martial intent. Moreover, after having absorbed the blood vitality of the flesh and blood Dao womb, His body already reached the edge of transformation. He now had a great assurance he would be able to break through the 5th of the 8 inner hidden gates in a single go, the Gate of Opening. The Gate of Opening was located in the brain. After reaching the 5th gate, his perception would increase as well as his soul force. Although this wasn't immediately of influence to his combat strength, it was actually known as being the most valuable of the 8 inner hidden gates. That was because this gate wouldn't become any less valuable even after reaching the Holy Lord realm. There was a tremendous gap between the first 4 and the second 4 of the 8 inner hidden gates. Lin Ming had opened the 4th gate of pain, but it had been several years since then. This was mainly because the momentum and energy he accumulated were insufficient. But now, it was finally time. Chapter 983, The Gate of Opening which enhances perception. Chapter 983, The Gate of Opening which enhances perception. Thank you, Senior Fairy Feng. Lin Ming bowed to Fairy Feng. He would carve down this graciousness in his heart. Lin Ming was aware that he encountered numerous lucky chances in the lower realms. But compared to the top geniuses of the divine realm, lucky chances like the Sorcerer Pagoda in the southern wilderness or the adventure through the Demon God Imperial Palace could only be considered ordinary at best. In this situation, every step he took had to be incomparably solid if he wished to shine bright in the future. Otherwise, he would exhaust his potential and fade away. If that happened, discussing something like chasing the peak of martial arts would simply be a fanciful dream. Lin Ming, do not call me senior. From now on, I shall receive you as my secret disciple. Would you be willing? Secret disciple? Lin Ming was slightly surprised. Generally speaking, a secret disciple was one of the lower ranks of disciples. It wasn't even an ordinary disciple. They would rarely receive any guidance. He certainly wouldn't turn down the offer of being Fairy Feng's disciple, but how could it only be a secret disciple? Fairy Feng guessed Lin Ming's thoughts. She said, although I will accept you as a secret disciple, I will help train you with everything I have. Being a secret disciple is only a title in name. I can already faintly feel you won't remain in Phoenix Cry Palace in the future. You have your own lucky chances and destiny, and you'll continue to move forward in the boundless divine realm. You may even become a hero in your own right. Perhaps you may even find another master to teach you and become his disciple. Although it isn't strange for martial artists of the divine realm to have several masters, having one acknowledge you as a direct disciple is still a significant matter. If I cannot teach you in the future, then recognizing you as my official disciple is meaningless. Fairy Feng's words dazed Lin Ming. Fairy Feng said all this for a single reason. She believed she wouldn't be able to teach Lin Ming in the future. Since that was the case, she didn't want to officially establish that sort of embarrassing master-disciple relationship. Senior Fairy Feng thinks too highly of this junior. Junior is still far from being able to compare with the true heroes of the divine realm. Not bad, you are indeed far from being able to compare. You are merely a single disciple of Phoenix Hall within Phoenix Cry Palace, one of the 72 palaces of the ancient Phoenix clan. Your accomplishment of jumping 4 stages of life destruction to defeat Hu Yenguang was impressive enough to astonish the other disciple here, but placed within the vast divine realm, that accomplishment is nothing at all. Even White Dao Hong, the current number 1 disciple of Phoenix Hall, if he doesn't have any other great fortuitous encounters in the future, he will never be able to blossom into glory. The most he will achieve is becoming a Vice Palace Master of Phoenix Cry Palace. Moreover, he will only be the weakest of Vice Palace Masters. He will never compare with me or Sage Joyang. White Dao Hong falls far short of being able to compare with Phoenix Cry Palace's Palace Master, and the Phoenix Cry Palace Master falls far short of being able to compare with the ancient Phoenix Clan's Patriarch. And even the ancient Phoenix Clan Patriarch is far from being able to compare with a true top Holy Lord powerhouse of the divine realm. For you to guard against your own arrogance and understand that your future road still stretches endlessly before you, you have done well. This disciple will remember Honorable Master's teachings. Lin Ming's words proved he recognized Fairy Feng as his Honorable Master. Good. You still have half a year until the ancient Phoenix smelting trial begins. How will you prepare for it? If you can obtain first place during this ancient Phoenix smelting trial, The rewards will be extremely rich. Top-grade saint artifacts, ancient phoenix blood, phoenix heart blood, top pills, you may choose anything you wish. However, you must obtain first place in order to grasp what you want. Lin Ming thought for a while and said, Honorably Master Fairy Feng, this disciple is preparing to close up for a period of time to open the 5th of the 8 inner hidden gates.
Oh!
Fairy Feng slightly frowned. The 8 inner hidden gates, the 5th gate should be the gate of opening. It enhances your perception. Truly a useful gate. However, Lin Ming, Master will advise you to be careful about the path you are taking and not to neglect the basics. The Divine Realm's body transformation technique, I fear, is a cultivation system from billions of years ago, or even from an ancient time far surpassing that. In legends I've heard, in the past, body transformation was popular and well practiced throughout the realm, and the essence gathering system only emerged afterward. But the essence gathering system actually slowly replaced the body transformation system. There are definitely reasons behind this. It was said that the rules that governed the world changed. But in brief, within the current divine realm there are very few geniuses that dual cultivate body and energy, even if they are peak talents of a great holy land. While the geniuses that dual cultivate body and energy have a great superiority to martial artists that only follow a single cultivation system, they will have to pay a corresponding amount of energy and time. If your studies are too varied and mixed, it will be difficult to achieve a profound understanding in any of them. Moreover, body transformation's 9 stars of the Tao Palace are legendary in their difficulty of breaking into. If you cultivate just the essence gathering system, you can still become a holy lord, world king, or even an empyrean. The potential of the essence gathering system is already more than enough for you to dig out. If you can fully explore that potential, you will become an empyrean. Aren't you satisfied with becoming an empyrean? Fairy Feng was also only casually speaking. She didn't expect that Lin Ming would become an empyrean. What kind of existence was an empyrean? In the entire divine realm, an empyrean might not appear for 100,000 years or even millions of years. Of the talent in the divine realm, no matter how amazing they were and no matter if they were the current number 1 talent of the divine realm, they were still incomparably far from ever becoming an empyrean. Lin Ming didn't say anything. No matter how far an empyrean was, he would still firmly walk down on the road he decided on to take. Fairy Feng saw that Lin Ming had already made up his mind and knew that saying anything further was useless. In fact, she also understood that with someone like Lin Ming, who was so determined, once they made a decision they would rarely veer off that path and instead steadfastly walk down that road no matter what lay ahead. Those people that made a decision and changed their mind the next moment would rarely have great achievements. Although she knew this, she still had to raise this matter. As Lin Ming's master, it was her duty to mention these points. As for what decision Lin Ming made, that was all up to him. If you wish to break through the gate of opening, now is your time. Since you've reached this step, you must step into the gate of opening no matter what. As for the 9 stars of the Tao Palace, that will all depend on heaven's will. Do you have the materials for making body transformation medicine? If you wish to break through to the gate of opening, you need to accumulate a great deal of medicinal materials. I do. But I haven't turned them into pills yet. Lin Ming took out the extreme violet ring. Within the extreme violet ring was a medicine garden with a massive amount of medicinal plants, all over 100,000 years of age. This was one of the relics Jiang Ziji had left behind in the Temple of Marvels. The medicine garden in the ring was untouched for over 100,000 years. Although most of the medicinal herbs had died, those that lived on were extremely valuable breeds. Such long-lived medicinal herbs would be difficult to find even in a divine realm holy land. You actually have such a medicine garden? These are 100,000-year and even older medicinal herbs. Fairy Feng was surprised. Even she didn't have such a medicine garden. It wasn't a matter of how precious the medicinal herb were, but how long they had grown for. Fairy Feng could obtain more precious medicinal herbs than these, but as for raising them herself, she wasn't even 10,000 years old herself yet, so how could she have grown medicinal herbs that were over 100,000 years old? Moreover, medicinal plants like these had their own life and spirit. They had to absorb heaven and earth origin energy to transform themselves. There were many herbs that lived for less than 10,000 years. As for the types of medicinal herbs able to live up to 100,000 years and longer, they were extremely rare. This should be a high-grade saint artifact level spirit realm left behind by a divine realm master. The inside has its own world and can be used to raise medicinal herbs and even raise wonderful beasts. This should be something you obtained from some ancient ruin. But in a situation where the master has died and there hasn't been anyone to care for the spirit realm for 100,000 years, and yet these medicinal plants can maintain their life, that must be because this ring was left in an exceptionally wonderful land with extremely rich spirit energy. Fairy Feng had amazing insight. With just a few words, she was able to discern how Lin Ming had obtained this ring. Indeed, Jiang Ziji died meditating beneath a divine thunder tree. Because of the divine thunder tree, the heaven and earth origin energy around the entire dimensional realm was pure and rich, with spirit plants, spirit trees, and even top-grade spirit essence stones being born. Jiang Ziji was a clansman of the electric violet Kirin clan. The medicinal herbs he planted were mostly of the thunder attribute type. In a land with such thick and pure thunder origin energy and where the environment was perfectly suited for the growth of these medicinal herbs, after 100,000 years this type of medicine garden finally formed. What wonderful materials! Moreover, these materials are mostly of the thunder attribute. Millimeter. Fairy Feng suddenly noticed a small line of characters carved on the inside of the ring. Electric Violet Kirin Clan Shadeless Lightning Vindicator Jiang Ziji. The Electric Violet Kirin Clan is originally a branch of the ancient Kirin clan. No wonder there's so many thunder attribute medicinal herbs here. Thunder attribute medicinal herbs are best used for tempering the body. Thunder originally has the power of life, so it is far superior to tempering the body than fire is. The superiority of fire is to burn away impurities of the revolving core and refine energy. The superiority of thunder is in body transformation. Good. I will help you process these medicinal herbs and refine the spirit pill for you to open the fifth 8 inner hidden gate. The ancient Phoenix clan was a massive sect that took the flame laws as their core, and their achievements in alchemy were correspondingly wonderful. In alchemy, control of the flame was essential in creating pills. Fairy Feng was also an alchemist grandmaster. Although Lin Ming inherited the memories of a divine realm alchemist, it would likely take him at least a year to process all of these medicinal herbs. He would have missed the date of the ancient Phoenix smelting trial. But if Fairy Feng were to help him, she would only need 10 days to do what would take him a full year, and the quality would also be far superior. Thank you, Honorable Master. This is only a minor matter. You prepared the materials and I'm only putting in a little effort. Moreover, I can also enhance my alchemy technique and soul force and prepare to step into the next realm. As Fairy Feng spoke to this point, she took out a golden red pill furnace from her spatial ring. This pill furnace was a spirit artifact level treasure. To an alchemist grandmaster, a pill furnace was even more important than a weapon. A weapon could only be used to increase one's combat strength, but a pill furnace was required for alchemy, and alchemy concerned a martial artist's cultivation. With top-quality pills, it was far easier to enhance one's cultivation. With a spirit artifact-level pill furnace combined with Fairy Feng's alchemy technique and also being refined by the Nirvanic sacred flame, any pill she produced would be heads and shoulders above what Lin Ming could make. This was the benefit of having a master. For a disciple born into a distinguished family in a divine realm holy land, they would have many elders to support them. The elders could assist in concocting pills, personally explaining cultivation methods, and even demonstrating skills. From all of this support, their cultivation speed could be imagined. Lin Ming, during the time I create this pill for you, you will meditate on the fire laws. Fairy Feng took out a jade slip from her spatial ring and gave it to Lin Ming. This was Fairy Feng's collections of insights of the fire laws that she personally wrote down. It was a priceless treasure. Only someone that thoroughly understood the fire laws could create such a jade slip. It was impossible to duplicate. Each and every one was a valuable treasure. A jade slip like this would never be casually granted to someone that wasn't a direct disciple. Fairy Feng seemed to suddenly remember something. That's right, you are now a Phoenix Hall disciple. Phoenix Hall disciples can take 2 Saint Artifacts from Saint Artifact Pavilion. Since you've taken one, go and take another one. Don't miss out. Yes, Honorable Master. How precious was a top-grade Saint Artifact. With such an opportunity placed in front of him, Lin Ming certainly wouldn't miss out. Chapter 984, Movement of the Magic Cube. Chapter 984, Movement of the Magic Cube. Ever since Lin Ming took the Phoenix Blood Spear from Saint Artifact Pavilion, many disciples were stimulated by it. They trained hard, hoping to test their luck at Saint Artifact Pavilion. Although they didn't expect to take a top-grade Saint Artifact, even taking a low-grade Saint Artifact was enough. This was similar to when in the world of mortals someone who ran into some luck and found a nugget of gold in the fields. Other people wouldn't care about whether or not they would have the same luck and would rush toward that same field to dig it up. What? 1,000 Phoenix Cry seal marks is enough to enter Saint Artifact Pavilion, so why are you charging us 2,000? Several new disciples scowled at Song Baifeng. They had worked hard in order to save up 1,000 contribution points each, and they came to Saint Artifact Pavilion to test their luck. But the result was that they were blocked by Song Baifeng before they were even able to pass through the door. Song Baifeng proudly rode on his fire lion, looking down on these new Life Destruction Realm Firebird Hall disciples with an authoritative air. He looked over these new disciples as if they were toads, thinking to himself, "Humph, these fellows want to come and take a Saint Artifact. Have they even looked in the mirror recently?" Song Baifeng uproariously laughed and said, "What I say you need to enter, is how much you need to enter." These past days, Song Baifeng's days hadn't passed in peace. He didn't dare to bully any of Fairy Feng's people anymore. It wasn't that he feared Fairy Feng, but that he feared Saint Artifact Pavilion's artifact spirit. The artifact spirit was his immediate commanding superior. He at least had to make it through this period of limelight first. With less people to extort, Song Baifeng became anxious. After all, for someone in his position he had people above and below him that he needed to bribe, otherwise how could he stay here for 20 to 30 years? Song Baifeng had decided to mess around with the disciples of the smaller factions. But these disciples didn't have much to begin with. No matter what, it was impossible to strain water from these dry rocks. This caused his days to be rough. "You, how dare you do this?" The several disciples flushed red. Just as they were about to say something else, they suddenly saw Song Baifeng jump up as if a fire was lit under his ass. He hurled himself off the fire lion and his arrogant expression completely became servile with a flattering smile. In the blink of an eye, his entire person had done a complete 180, and he acted like someone else entirely. These disciples didn't understand just what trick Song Baifeng was playing until they saw him groveling towards the front of a young man in front of him. "Sir Lin, welcome. Sir Lin, please come in. Sir Lin, did you make such a majestic appearance today to pick up your second top-grade Saint Artifact? Ha ha ha, it seems as if my Saint Artifact Pavilion will have another top-grade Saint Artifact that will find its rightful master. A top-grade Saint Artifact can only be matched with such a heavenly genius like Sir Lin in order to be considered the best use." Sir Lin. Lin Ming didn't know whether to laugh or cry at hearing this title. He was just a common person who originated from the lower realms, so when had he so suddenly become a young master? Song Baifeng was an extremely obsequious toad-like character. Even if he needed to open his mouth and call Lin Ming his daddy right now, he would still do so without batting an eye. He attentively led the way for Lin Ming, treating those shocked disciples behind him as though they were nothing more than air. After Lin Ming entered Saint Artifact Pavilion, the dumbfounded disciples finally regained their composure. This scene had truly opened their minds. For someone to be so arrogant at one moment and then become such a bootlicker the next, this sort of thick skin could only come from a top cultivation method. Pathetic. I can't believe he is craven to such a degree. When he sees the juniors of noble families, it's like he's seeing his own father. How can this sort of person even think of cultivating on the martial path? He will never enter the divine transformation realm. No kidding, this is too aggravating. What's so special about those noble family juniors? They've had a silver spoon in their mouths since they were born. All of their cultivations are entirely dependent on their sheer amount of resources. If I was born in a noble family, I would be at least 10 times stronger than they are. Noble family? Are your ears deaf? Did you not hear just who that was? The third disciple with the highest cultivation shook his head. That youth's last name was Lin. In Phoenix Cry Palace, are there any Lin family clans you know of that can have Song Baifeng be respectful to such a degree? Well, rather than respect, that should be called fear. Song Baifeng asked that Sir Lin if he came for his second top-grade saint artifact, meaning another one was taken before by him. The young disciples that can take a top-grade saint artifact are rare, even in the entire Phoenix Cry Palace, and with his 6th stage life destruction cultivation added on top, who do you think that is? As the other 2 disciples heard this, one of them was still confused. But the other one perked up and said, "His Lin Ming, the one that took the Phoenix Blood Spear and defeated the 4-layered Heaven's 9-fall Huoyenguang? So that's Lin Ming. He looks like a scholar from the mortal world. There's nothing too special about him. What do you know about what's special about him? He restrained his aura so that he doesn't seem any different from a common man. If he released his aura, we wouldn't even be able to approach him. Just a while ago he was at the 5th stage of life destruction, but now he's already at the 6th stage." The leading disciple shook his head and patted the shoulders of his 2 brothers. You don't need to come from a noble family to be treated with respect. All you need is strength. In Saint Artifact Pavilion, Song Baifeng was all smiles as he led the way in front. His small and timid steps made him seem like a eunuch from a mortal royal palace. "Sir Lin, come take a look. This great halberd is the top-grade saint artifact that replaced the Phoenix Blood Spear after it was taken by you. The quality is a much lower than the Phoenix Blood Spear though. Sir Lin definitely doesn't need it. There are still 8 top-grade saint artifacts here. Why don't you see which one fits your preferences best?" After reaching the center of Saint Artifact Pavilion, Song Baifeng attentively introduced Lin Ming around. How was this the glorious procedure of challenging and taking a saint artifact from Saint Artifact Pavilion? It was more like purchasing clothes from a store. However, Lin Ming truly did have the ability to choose as he wished. He simply didn't need to care about the test and could choose whatever he wanted. This was the advantage conferred to him by strength. I don't need a weapon. As for the pill furnace, ring, vestment, necklace, and armor, tell me what they are. Especially the ring and necklace. Lin Ming didn't need vestments or a pill furnace. He already had the 9-feathered heaven robe and sun-melting furnace that he won from Huoyenguang. Although they were only high-grade saint artifacts, he could use them all the same. An armor wasn't important to him now either. What Lin Ming most wanted were the ring and necklace. The necklace was in truth a protective charm. It was attached onto a very ordinary-looking red thread, something that seemed as though it could be sold in a stall of a mortal kingdom. Of course, Song Baifeng certainly wanted a chance to show off his good side. Sir Lin, this ring is called Eye of Reality. It can break through illusions and speed up your recovery of physical stamina and true essence. As for the protective charm necklace, it's called Saint's Will. That is not something made in my ancient Phoenix clan, but rather a treasure taken from an enemy after they were killed by an elder of Phoenix Cry Palace. Its origin is quite mysterious. According to the analysis of the elders, it is a fragment of will left over by an ancient holy lord that managed to continue existing for hundreds of thousands of years. It was obtained by a refining master, then sealed into the protective charm necklace. It can increase one's soul force and willpower. After Song Baifeng introduced the necklace and ring to Lin Ming nodded as he mulled over them. An accessory-type saint artifact had a far smaller effect on combat strength than a weapon or armor, but their value was far higher than saint artifacts of the same grade. Song Baifeng continued to introduce the several other top-grade saint artifacts, including the Sun-Pierce Sword and Sun-Shooting Bow. Those 2 weren't too inferior to the Phoenix Blood Spear, but Lin Ming didn't need them nor would he use them. Although the pill furnace, vestment, and armor were good, he didn't urgently require them now either. As Lin Ming thought about it, he decided on the extremely ordinary-looking protective charm necklace, Saint's Will. I'll take that one. Lin Ming looked at the protective charm necklace floating in the air. It looked extremely common. If it wasn't hanging within Saint Artifact Pavilion, it would be difficult to notice. Lin Ming chose Saint's will for his own reason. Although this protective charm necklace wouldn't increase his strength by too much, he very much liked its ability to enhance his will and soul force. The soul was related to perception and also his cultivation. As for will, he was just a step away from achieving a gold battle spirit. Once he did, his combat strength would rise by another level. But this single step was actually extremely difficult. His battle spirit didn't enhance by much after he entered the 6th stage of life destruction. Instead, he wandered on the edge of making a breakthrough to a gold battle spirit, and now he wanted to seek a turning point to make that breakthrough. Lin Ming flew up into the sky and disappeared into the shining light of Saint's will. The light flared for a moment before quieting down like a lake that quieted down after having a rock dropped into it. Song Baifeng looked onward, silently keeping track of the time in his heart. 10 breaths of time, 20 breaths of time, 30 breaths of time. 80 breaths of time passed, around half an incense stick of time, when Lin Ming fell down from the sky. He calmly landed and looked up toward the skies. That shining star that was Saint's will shrank, and a moment later it completely condensed into Saint's will. The protective charm necklace fell down and landed in Lin Ming's hands. This entire process was easy and relaxed. Lin Ming's face hadn't even changed color. It was as if he performed some trivial matter. Magnificent, truly magnificent. Sir Lin is indeed Sir Lin. A 9-fall powerhouse would try their hardest to obtain a top-grade Saint artifact, and they would fail even after panting and becoming exhausted. But Sir Lin seems to just be picking something out of the air and obtained it in just half an incense stick of time. In this lowly servant's life, I have also seen other geniuses take top-grade Saint artifacts, but they usually take 15 to 30 minutes. Moreover, they would have to consume a great deal of energy, like they would in a grueling battle. How could any one of them compare with Sir Lin, who looks so elegant and handsome afterward? Sir Lin's talent and potential will be unrivaled for the next 500 years in the entire Phoenix Cry Palace. For the next 500 years, I fear no one will be able to compare with Sir Lin. Although Song Baifeng already expected Lin Ming to obtain Saint's will, he never thought he would do it so quickly. His flattering words also stemmed from true admiration. He guarded Saint Artifact Pavilion for many years and saw many heroic young elites take top-grade Saint artifacts. But even if they managed to do so, they would be panting and tired, looking as if they were half dead. Compared to Lin Ming, the difference was like the clouds and mud. Lin Ming naturally didn't care about Song Baifeng's flattery. He touched the protective charm necklace in his hand. This protective charm was cold like ice, and as he was carefully feeling the properties and mysteries within it, something unexpected occurred. He could feel the deeply sleeping magic cube in his heart slightly tremble, seemingly regaining consciousness after a long period of sleep. Chapter 985, Strange Protective Charm. Chapter 985, Strange Protective Charm. As the magic cube throbbed, Lin Ming was startled. The magic cube actually has some strange reaction to the protective charm necklace. What is happening here? This is only a top-grade Saint artifact. Something of this level shouldn't have any value in front of the magic cube, so why is there such a response? If it were some high-level mystical treasure, how come the person who refined it or the Phoenix Cry Palace elder didn't notice anything? Lin Ming's mind raced, but he had no change of expression on the surface. To Song Baifeng, Lin Ming was only grasping this protective charm necklace to feel it increasing the strength of his will. How is it, Sir Lin? This protective charm is wonderful and it also works as a simple accessory. Once you step into the Divine Lord realm, this protective charm won't be as useful to you and you can definitely bestow it upon a good friend of yours. Then again, Sir Lin is handsome and elegant, dashing and charming, and your talent is also extremely high. I fear that in the future, Sir Lin will have to beat off the countless beautiful women that struggle to jump in your bed and be your concubine. Song Baifeng went all out in his flattery, but Lin Ming didn't listen to a single word of it. He took a deep breath and calmly put the necklace away. He smiled at Song Baifeng and said, "Thank you for assisting me, senior apprentice brother Song. I'll be on my way first. Haha, no need, no need. If you have any matter in the future, please inform me. Song Baifeng nodded and sent Lin Ming away. As he watched Lin Ming vanish, he took a deep breath and said to himself, "At least I've resolved the problems from last time. This sort of character will grow to unimaginable heights." Solely with him obtaining the recognition of Saint Artifact Pavilion's artifact spirit, he is someone I absolutely cannot afford to offend. Song Baifeng guarded Saint Artifact Pavilion for many years and had a deep understanding of how Saint Artifact Pavilion's artifact spirit judged others. Some Phoenix Hall disciples suspected that the artifact spirit sometimes had a problem in its judgment, but Song Baifeng was deeply aware of just how cruel and sinister the tests of the artifact spirit could be. Every genius it approved of was bound to shine in glory as long as they didn't perish halfway. Lin Ming had already returned to his own residence. In order to ensure absolute safety, he didn't even go to Fengxian Palace. After entering deep into an array formation-covered chamber deep underground, Lin Ming laid down several more layers of array formations. He carefully took out Saint's Will and looked over it. He didn't sense anything strange. After searching through it with his sense, he didn't discover anything out of place. He couldn't imagine just why the magic cube had a reaction to it. Frowning, Lin Ming wore the protective charm on his neck, wanting to see how it would increase his willpower. But as he put on the protective charm, an unbelievable scene happened. The protective charm slipped into his chest, disappearing like mud into the sea. The magic cube swallowed it. Lin Ming's eyes widened. He sank his mind within himself to sense the magic cube, but he was left disappointed as he couldn't feel anything. Ever since the magic cube fused into Lin Ming's body, it had simply vanished, and no matter how he tried to contact it or how he used his sense to investigate it, he couldn't even find a shadow of the magic cube. Even when he first crossed life destruction and disintegrated his body into tiny particles, he still couldn't find the magic cube. There were only some unique circumstances when the magic cube would appear, such as when it absorbed the blood essence of a powerhouse, or when something provoked the magic cube's dignity. At that time, it would display an awe-inspiring strength that went beyond Lin Ming's understanding. What was the protective charm necklace and why was it swallowed by the magic cube? Lin Ming looked down at his own chest. The red string that hooked around the protective charm was still here. It hadn't been absorbed by the magic cube. But the end of the red string where it tied onto the protective talisman had been torn off. It was obviously due to the magic cube. Lin Ming took up this red string and analyzed the material with his senses. At a bare minimum, Lin Ming inherited the memories of a divine realm alchemist and array master, as well as those of the ancient devil. He had a great deal of understanding into many materials. After analyzing the red string, Lin Ming was actually startled. This red string looked ordinary, but it was actually the tendon of a winged rain dragon. After being tempered in dragonwood oil, it was refined multiple times through a variety of complex processes before this end product was produced. Although the winged rain dragon wasn't a true dragon, it still had a very rich dragon bloodline within its body. It was not what those vicious beasts that were transformed by a drop of a god-beast bloodline could compare with. This dragon tendon thread was only a foot long and was one of many strands, but it was still exceedingly precious. However, it was clear that the magic cube was not interested in this red thread. Moreover, it cut it apart without Lin Ming noticing at all. From this, it could be seen that the winged rain dragon tendon thread could not compare with the value of the protective charm itself. Lin Ming thought for a moment, then muttered, "If I'm guessing correctly, the senior supreme elder who refined this protective charm should have used an unknown material that it accidentally obtained." He didn't know what the material was, but he discovered that it had the property of increasing will and soul force to some extent. Afterwards, it was refined into Saint Will's protective charm, and this string was added on. The true worth of the protective charm likely far surpasses the value of a top-grade saint artifact. It's an ancient relic, but as for what it is, the refiner supreme elder didn't know, Phoenix Cry Palace's elder didn't know, and I certainly don't know. But the magic cube knows. If I didn't have the magic cube, I would have only assumed it was an ordinary top-grade saint artifact protective charm necklace. Lin Ming wanted to understand just what it was, But unfortunately the magic cube had swallowed it and there wasn't any significant change. The magic cube was the start of Lin Ming's road of martial arts. It was his foundation and origin. However, Lin Ming's current achievements were also due in large part to his own effort and desperate struggles. The magic cube hadn't given him much, besides some memory fragments from characters on the level of the Demon Emperor and Fairy Feng. Within these memory fragments, besides the heretical god force, there wasn't anything truly too spectacular. Still, Lin Ming was well aware that the power of the magic cube was far from being revealed. It definitely had more capabilities than the pitiful function of providing him with soul fragments. The magic cube caused Divine Realm Holy Land level influences to struggle for it with their lives, so how could it be a common relic? It had to be known that the entire ancient Phoenix clan with its 72 palaces and 3 great family clans was only a holy land after everything was added together. During the battle for the magic cube, numerous holy land masters had joined in. Of these people, someone on the level of Fairy Feng could only be considered at the bottom of the group. Above that were characters on the level of the Phoenix Cry Palace Master, Ancient Phoenix Clan Highest Elder, or even Ancient Phoenix Clan Patriarch. But even with 10,000 of these supreme elders gathered together, they were killed off by the Verdant Feather Holy Land Saintess with just a single move. That saintess cultivation reached a degree so terrifying that even Lin Ming couldn't imagine it. Of course, for her to be able to kill off 10,000 supreme elders, that was by relying on the horrifying power of the magic cube. Chapter 986, Opening the Gate of Opening. Chapter 986, Opening the Gate of Opening. After Saint's will was swallowed up by the magic cube, Lin Ming studied it all day to no avail. Finally, he gave up on his investigation and started to perceive the jade slips Fairy Feng had left him. In this jade slip, the concept that was narrated was the third concept of fire, creation. When things reached the extreme they would turn around. What lay behind annihilation was creation. The explanations Fairy Feng gave for the law of creation had no text, they were nearly all explained with images. Between every 2 images was a spell. One had to comprehend the previous image to be able to look at the next one. The first image was that of a blue lotus. The blue lotus grew on top of a flaming red rock, and lava surged all around. The rock was heated to a terrifying degree and it looked like a hell of heat. But the blue lotus that grew above the red rock was actually filled with vibrant life, jade blue and luscious. Blue lotus domain. Lin Ming knew that some extremely talented geniuses who understood the concept of creation to the highest degree could form the blue lotus domain. This was one of the many kinds of phenomena. A domain would form a self-contained space. As long as someone entered, they would be suppressed by the laws of the domain. In order to break through the domain, a martial artist had to use a brute force that was several times what was needed to form it. This was extremely advantageous when facing enemies. When Lin Ming fought Hu Yenguang had used the Blue Lotus domain. Unfortunately, the rank of the Blue Lotus domain was far inferior to that of Grand Mist Space. The Blue Lotus domain was directly suppressed by Lin Ming's Grand Mist Space, and it simply hadn't been able to have any effect in the battle. Even so, the Blue Lotus domain was extremely valuable, even Lin Ming was attracted to it. Lin Ming could jump ranks to fight geniuses of the Divine Realm right now, and a major reason for this was his Grand Mist Space. If he could add on the Blue Lotus domain and superimpose the 2 great domains together, the suppressive effect on the enemy would be even better. Lin Ming quickly entered a trance-like state as he observed this mysterious picture. This picture no longer seemed like just a picture, but appeared as though it were reality instead. The billowing flames, the raging lava, the blue lotus that could grow in such an incompatible environment, all of it seemed to contain the highest truths of the heavenly Tao. The Fire Law's jade slip that Fairy Feng had created didn't have any explanations, but every single image contained endless riddles. If one's perception was lacking, they would only feel inexplicably confused upon reading through Fairy Feng's jade slip. They would only feel as if they were looking at a pretty picture, much less being able to comprehend the concept of fire from within it. Time passed, day after day. Lin Ming sat in his training chamber meditating without moving. His comprehension of the fire laws constantly grew. Every time he managed to comprehend just a little bit more, the young flame leaf on the heretical godsprout would have more traces of laws textured onto it. These textures were little tiny totems that gathered in a circle. Although it was different from Fairy Feng's blue lotus image, it still carried with it a similar charm. But these tiny totems were sleeker and more mystical than the blue lotus image. When Lin Ming was at time-worn Phoenix City, he realized that every time he comprehended the fire laws, every little bit of understanding he gained would form a corresponding Tao pattern totem on the heretical god seed. These totems were enigmatic and contained the truths of the great Tao. However, with Lin Ming's current boundary, it was simply far too difficult for him to be enlightened on them. The heretical godsprout is my cultivation method, but it is still an external force. I cannot completely depend on the heretical godsprout to absorb the fire laws. I must comprehend them on my own. Otherwise, I fear that I'll encounter a bottleneck once I reach a higher boundary. Using the heretical godsprout to swallow the fire laws, then study them from there was a shortcut. But those were the heretical godsprout's laws. Lin Ming could use them, but he didn't understand the truths behind them. For making his foundation solid, this was far inferior to comprehending them himself. Lin Ming spent his following days meditating on Fairy Feng's jade slip. One day, a flame suddenly lit up in front of Lin Ming, followed by Fairy Feng's voice. Lin Ming, I've finished concocting the pills. Come to Fengxian Palace and be ready to open the gate of opening. Lin Ming suddenly woke up from his contemplative state. He looked at a time glass in the corner of the chamber and saw that 10 days had passed. In 10 days, Lin Ming still wasn't able to fully understand the first image Fairy Feng had recorded, but she was actually able to create the body transformation spirit pills. This was the advantage of having a great master. If Lin Ming tried to refine these pills, it was unknown just how long it would take him. Lin Ming rose up and turned into a stream of light that flew away. A moment later he arrived at Fengxian Palace and found Fairy Feng waiting for him within the grand hall. Disciple Lin greets Honorable Master. Millimeter, Fairy Feng nodded. She flung out her hand and a wood spirit jade box flew toward Lin Ming. He received the box and opened it. Within were 2 spirit pills, one white and one black. Yin-Yang Good Fortune pills. Lin Ming recognized this pair of pills. Pills were also divided into grades just like magic tools. These Yin-Yang Good Fortune pills were excellent saint-level pills, equal to top-grade saint artifacts. Although these were pills, their value could not be compared with magic tools. For instance, these Yin-Yang Good Fortune pills Fairy Feng had concocted required numerous medicinal herbs over 100,000 years old. In order to collect all these medicinal materials, it was unknown just how long it would take. I didn't think you would recognize these pills. Do you know how to take these Yin-Yang Good Fortune pills? I do. Good. With your status as a lower realms martial artist, for you to have such an understanding toward the pills of the divine realm, you must have obtained alchemical technique records from some ancient ruins in the Skyspill continent. Well done. Although we cultivate martial arts, we still need to have 1 or 2 subskills that we can practice to temper our soul, Fairy Feng casually said. She stood up. Follow me. You will take the Yin-Yang Good Fortune pills in my seclusion chamber and open the gate of opening. After you do that, the potential of your mind will develop further, and at the same time more of the power hidden within the gate of pain will be released. Your physical strength will double. Within body transformation's 8 inner hidden gates, the gate that increased strength the most was the gate of pain. However, after the gate of pain opened, this eruption of strength would continue. It wouldn't happen just once. With every one of the next 4 gates that were opened, more strength would be released until the opening of the 8 inner hidden gates reached completion. At that time, one would have the supernatural strength of tens of millions of jinns. When that strength was combined with some body transformation type martial skills, the physical might one could bring out of their abilities would reach a terrifying degree. Yes, Honorable Master, Lin Ming respectfully said. He followed Fairy Feng to her seclusion chamber. Lin Ming, the gate of opening is located within the brain. The brain is the most mysterious part of the human body. Any type of training that involves the brain will have great dangers involved. When you open the gate of opening, you will face illusions beyond compare. Guard your mind and your heart, otherwise you will lose yourself. Moreover, when you open the gate of opening, there are differences in how much you can open. The better you protect your mind, the more thoroughly the gate of opening will open and the more your mind and spiritual sea will develop. On the other hand, if you cannot guard your mind, the gate of opening will only open to a small degree, and the increase to your perception and soul force will also be limited. Fairy Feng earnestly warned Lin Ming. In truth, Lin Ming was also aware of this. Within the chaotic virtues combat meridians, there were records of when some body transformation martial artists underwent the process of opening the gate of opening. Sometimes, their heart demons would emerge and the illusions would seep into their mind. They would lose themselves, falling into madness and never recovering. Some didn't open the gate of opening thoroughly. This would cause extremely limited growth to their spiritual sea and perception, making it difficult to continue on in the future. Lin Ming didn't immediately start to open the gate of opening. He first sat in meditation, lighting incense and settling his heart for an incense stick of time. This ceremony didn't seem to have an important role, but it was actually a method used to regulate the body and mind to the optimal condition. Through doing all of this, Lin Ming would be able to eliminate all the distracting thoughts from his mind and completely focus on the task at hand. The gate of opening was located in the brain. Opening the gate of opening was equal to expanding his spiritual sea. He had to be careful lest he make even the slightest mistake. Fairy Feng nodded as she saw Lin Ming's patient actions. After completing these ceremonies, Lin Ming opened his eyes. He placed the yin-yang good fortune pills in his hands. His left hand held the white yang pill and his right the black yin pill. He entered into the ethereal martial intent state, formed a seal and placed the two pills between his eyebrows. But at this time, a strange scene occurred. The two yin and yang pills fused together, forming into a yin-yang circle that slowly revolved. It faintly contained the laws of yin-yang and the truths of the world. This was the mystery of the yin-yang good fortune pills. These pills were not used for swallowing, but for placing between the eyebrows where they would fuse together and form a yin-yang circle. This yin-yang circle would fuse together with the martial artist and directly open up one's mind. The yin-yang circle spun faster and faster, finally attaching onto the point between Lin Ming's eyebrows until it completely turned to energy. It melted into his skin and slowly fused into his mind. Lin Ming felt his head shake. It was as if a vast starry expanse had appeared within his mind. Infinity gave birth to primal chaos, and primal chaos gave birth to the twins, named yin-yang energy. This yin-yang energy was the basis of the world. When Lin Ming fused the yin-yang circle into his mind, he felt as if a world appeared. Starlight, sunlight, moonlight, all the lights of the sky rushed into his mind. It was extremely overwhelming. In that moment, Lin Ming felt as if his mind was like a universe, endless and infinite. It was like he was able to swim around this boundless space, shuttling with the starlight to far-off distances even as the light shined upon himself. With just a thought, he could travel 1 trillion miles in the blink of an eye. All of existence within the universe was grasped in his hands. He traveled through the heavens, the sole immortal ruler of 10,000 realms. The peak of martial arts. Was this what the peak of martial arts felt like? This thought suddenly flashed through Lin Ming's mind. The peak of martial arts was his ultimate pursuit. As he was opening the gate of opening, he briefly felt as if he had reached that point, as if he had climbed onto the peak of all martial arts. No, this was wrong. This was an illusion. This endlessly broad universe was a maze of his mind. If he lost himself in this illusion, his consciousness would be lost forever, exiled for eternity and never able to return. Lin Ming was stricken, a cold sweat streaming down his body. Almost every martial artist had a heart demon. It could be a shame that they could never forget, an irreconcilable blood hatred, something they loved too deeply, something they feared too much, or even something they pursued with all their heart. Anything could become one's heart demon. When Lin Ming was at the Sky Fortune Kingdom and he sat upon the 7 profound martial houses sea jade platform, his heart demon was Lan Yu Niu, that was passion. He had long since rid himself of that hindrance. But now, his pursuit of the peak of all martial arts had the potential to become his heart demon. Chapter 987, Enhanced Perception. Chapter 987, Enhanced Perception. As Lin Ming realized this, he began to vigorously guard his mind. A silver-gray spear-shaped battle spirit shot out from between his eyebrows and smashed into the void. Peng! With an explosive sound, countless cracks appeared where the spear-shaped battle spirit struck the void. These cracks spread out at a speed faster than light, spreading through countless galaxies. The entire universe shattered like glass and completely broke apart. Ah! Lin Ming screamed out. It felt as if what collapsed in front of him was not the universe but his spiritual sea. It was like his soul and mind shattered alongside the universe as an indescribably pain racked his very essence. His head felt as if it were splitting apart. Was I wrong? Was there a mistake? Was that just now not my heart demon, but my spiritual sea that I personally destroyed? This thought flashed through Lin Ming's mind. For the briefest of moments his heart wavered, but he immediately rejected this idea. My battle spirit is my will, a spear of will that is bred from within my spiritual sea. My will would only destroy illusions and lies. How could it possibly harm my own spiritual sea? Break! Break it all! Lin Ming loudly shouted into the void. His spear of will grew endless millions of miles, then came smashing down like a cosmos-splitting axe. Catcher! The endless space was shattered by the spear of will. The scenery changed. From the cracks within the space, endless devils, evil spirits, raving ghosts, zombies, cruel demons, yakshas, asuras, and other monsters appeared. They blotted out the heavens as they rushed toward Lin Ming, wanting to swallow him whole. Each and every single one of these beings were hundreds of feet tall, with some even 1,000 feet tall. They gathered together in a line that stretched for infinity. From the distance they resembled an army of ants. Lin Ming's eyes flashed with a severe light. The spear that was hundreds of millions of miles long suddenly swept out and countless screams filled the air as the trillions of evil creatures were slain by Lin Ming. At this time, Lin Ming's spear of will had also weakened by a great deal. Although he had a powerful will, it wasn't endless. After killing so many demonic illusions in a single breath, the burden on him was also great. He focused his heart, continuing to gather and sharpen his will to guard his mind. If he wavered and the gate of opening didn't completely open, his consciousness would fall into an illusion and he would be beyond saving. After the demonic illusions vanished, countless fae flew through the space cracks. As these fae flew forward, they changed into exquisite and peerless beauties. They were light and transparent veils and their bodies were half-clothed, exposing lusty imagery. Some of them were slender with a bountiful figure, some were young, some were more mature, some were cute and lovable, some were charming and seductive, and some seemed as pure as snow. All of these beautiful women danced and sung as light music filled the air. They had dark eyes that held promises of sweet nights, visions that blurred the eyes and sent one into a drooling stupor. Even a high monk might find their will shaken by this scene, but Lin Ming's eyes were actually filled with a cold indifference. He swept out with the spear of will once again. Peng! All the beautiful fae women were reduced to ashes. The spear of will faded further. It was only by relying on the grand mist attribute of the spear that it was able to keep its strength and complete this final slaughter. At this time, Li Ming felt his own strength suddenly leaving his body. He looked down to see that his hands had aged. His skin was mottled and wrinkled, his eyes were deeply set back in their sockets, his hair was stringy and white, and his fires of life were lowly flickering, as if they were a candle in a storm, ready to fade away at any moment. Maggots began to crawl out from his old and nearly rotten skin. Beetles began to gnaw on his flesh and dig away at his bones. Lin Ming coldly snorted. My will is everlasting and eternal. My flesh can tear off mountains and split apart the earth. My fire of life is like the sun that blazes in the brilliant skies, burning away all. Lin Ming roared out and his entire body lit up with flames. The maggots and beetles were all burnt to ashes, and as Lin Ming's body was wreathed in these flames, his rotten old skin was scorched away by the fire and replaced by delicate newborn skin. He was like a phoenix in the flames of nirvana, reborn through a bath of fire. Bang! Fire erupted, filling the entire universe. At this moment, Lin Ming's spiritual sea violently trembled. His spiritual sea was filled with raging flames, and the universe around him seemed to fuse into that sea. Lin Ming stuffily coughed as his eyes suddenly shot open. His complexion was paler than paper and his body was soaked with sweat. A feeling of infinite exhaustion filled his heart and mind. Lin Ming felt his eyelids weight down like lead and a piercing ache on the side of his head. Moreover, the illusions caused him to have trouble differentiating reality from fantasy. He looked up to see Fairy Feng sitting in front of him. She was looking at him with a bright smile and nodded appreciatively. "It's over. I've done it." Lin Ming took a long breath and slowly sank into a deep sleep. Opening the 8 inner hidden gates' 5th gate of opening was equivalent to opening one's spiritual sea. It caused a terrifying consumption on one's mental strength, divine soul, and will. If one lacked in willpower or soul force, it was possible he'd fail to fully open the gate of opening. There were even some people that would suddenly die. Others would exhaust themselves, allowing their minds to fall into illusions and become vegetables for the rest of their lives. Lin Ming's sleep was extremely deep, 100% of his being concentrated on his slumber. His heartbeat slowed down and his senses were completely closed off. His brain was closed off and all the pores on his body were relaxed open, spontaneously absorbing heaven and earth origin energy. During this period, if anyone wanted to kill Lin Ming, he wouldn't have any ability to resist them. Fairy Feng sat in meditation on the side, keeping track of Lin Ming's condition the entire time. She was satisfied that Lin Ming was able to reach this step, extremely satisfied. Lin Ming had almost exhausted all of his will and battle spirit in this attempt, and the result was that he had perfectly opened the gate of opening and had completely developed the potential of his brain. In terms of how formidable his will and battle spirit are, I fear that there is no one of his age in the entire divine realm that could stand on par with him. The benefits that this powerful willpower will grant him will slowly manifest during his future cultivation. For instance, for him to open the gate of opening and also to such a degree, all of that is because of the strength of his will. Moreover, his battle spirit seems to have a strange attribute to it. It is wild and vigorous, and it seems to correspond with the heavenly Tao. If it weren't for the support of this special attribute, Lin Ming wouldn't have been able to open the gate of opening to perfection. For Lin Ming to open the gate of opening to perfection, it would greatly enhance his perception and soul force. The advantages to his future cultivation were obvious. If each and every martial artist was able to open the gate of opening to such a degree, there would likely be many geniuses that wouldn't hesitate to dual cultivate body and energy at all costs just for this gate of opening. But what a pity, that was only a dream. If one desired to dual cultivate body and energy, they would have to start from a period when their cultivation was at an extremely low point. Otherwise, if they cultivated to life destruction and their physical body was transformed into a spirit body, they would be unable to practice body transformation any longer. This was because the bodily matrix would have already changed. When one reached the divine transformation realm or the divine lord realm, a small world would begin to open within their bodies as their spirit bodies slowly became divine bodies. At that point, there was no need to even raise the question of body transformation. The opposite was true too. If one managed to cultivate the body transformation technique to some point within the 8 hidden inner gates or even the 9 stars of the Tao Palace, the physical body would simply become too tough and durable. Wishing to cross life destruction at that time would be nothing more than a wild dream. In both these situations, a martial artist's boundary was destined to be low when they opened the 5th gate of opening of the 8 inner hidden gates. If their boundary was low, the boundary of their will wouldn't be higher either, and their will and battle spirit would be correspondingly weak. With a weak will and battle spirit, wasn't wishing to open the gate of opening easier said than done? It was more accurate to say that regardless of failure or success, it would be excellent if they didn't lose their mind to an illusion. This child is truly a dragon in a pool. All sorts of destiny have converged onto his body, and as he walks forward on his road of martial arts, every step he takes nears perfection. If he can continue this progress, he'll be a legend in the future, an Empyrean. But the problem is that to have every step reach perfection is far too difficult. Especially during the Divine Transformation Realm and Divine Lord Realm. At that time, there are many geniuses that will have exhausted their potential. They must seek their own lucky chances in order to further advance. Yet even so, within the lower realms with the barren resources that exist there, he was able to cultivate something that required countless resources like the 8 inner hidden gates to such a degree. Moreover, he obtained a 100,000-year medicine garden from somewhere, and this allowed him to continue cultivating. Now he has fully opened the gate of opening and completely developed his brain. Perhaps he really might have a chance of stepping into the 9 stars of the Tao Palace. To my knowledge, no one has managed to step into the 9 stars of the Tao Palace for millions or even billions of years. Of course, in the vast and endless divine realm, what I know is also limited. There might be some people out there somewhere who have managed to do so, but I simply haven't heard about it at. The divine realm was truly broad and boundless, with countless geniuses everywhere. However, martial artists that dual cultivated body and energy only accounted for a minuscule amount. As for those that were able to step into the 9 stars of the Tao Palace, those individuals had all but vanish. If one couldn't step into the 9 stars of the Tao Palace, the might of their body transformation would be limited. To open the 8 inner hidden gates, that required one to consume a massive amount of resources, and there was also the added difficulties of crossing life destruction. This meant a tremendous delay in one's cultivation. If one couldn't open the 9 stars of the Tao Palace, all of that really wasn't worth it. The 8 inner hidden gates would have a much weaker role once one stepped into the Divine Lord realm. And the higher one's cultivation rose, the more diminished it would become. Lin Ming's sleep continued for a full 7 days and 7 nights. 7 days later, Lin Ming finally woke up from his deep slumber. He felt that his mind was refreshed and light and his thoughts were incomparably quick. As he inspected his own spiritual sea, he was pleased to discover that his spiritual sea had expanded by several times its original size. It faintly felt as though it was becoming a world of its own. The spear-shaped battle spirit floated high in the skies above his spiritual sea. His battle spirit was wrapped in a thick silver-gray mist, but in the deepest layers of that mist, there was actually a faint golden color. Pale gold. That was the sign of a gold battle spirit. This meant that after Lin Ming's battle spirit was tempered through opening the gate of opening, it had reached the peak of silver perfection. It would soon break through and become a gold battle spirit. But there still existed a great gap between a silver battle spirit and a gold battle spirit. This was an extremely difficult step to take. After Lin Ming's battle spirit had reached silver perfection, he experienced some lucky chances, but that only made his silver battle spirit approach a gold battle spirit that much more. He hadn't been able to make the breakthrough yet. My soul force has become 3 times as powerful in a single go. Moreover, Lin Ming's thoughts stirred. He recalled the blue lotus image that Fairy Feng had drawn, and he was pleasantly surprised to discover that many previous areas he didn't understand completely became crystal clear to him. Of the areas he couldn't understand at all, he touched upon some directions of where to begin. He was confident that as long as he had the time, he would be able to thoroughly perceive the blue lotus image. Perception. After opening the gate of opening, Lin Ming's originally decent perception had undergone a massive leap upward. Chapter 988, The Smelting Trial Begins. Chapter 988, The Smelting Trial Begins. Thank you, Honorable Master, Lin Ming happily said, overjoyed. After opening the gate of opening, he couldn't wait to perceive the concept of fire. Lin Ming, for you to open the gate of opening to this degree is your lucky chance. Grasp it tightly. Your achievements in concepts and laws weren't high to begin with. You can rely on the gate of opening to make up for that weakness, Fairy Feng slowly said. In truth, Lin Ming's understandings of the fire laws could be considered at the pinnacle of the Sky Spill continent. But in comparison to the geniuses of the Divine Realm's ancient Phoenix clan, he was merely ordinary. The ancient Phoenix smelting trial will begin in only half a year. This smelting trial will have many opportunities for you, but the competition will be equally intense. Not only will there be disciples from our Phoenix Cry Palace, but also disciples from Praying Phoenix Palace and Charming Phoenix Palace. At the same time, there will also be Divine Transformation Realm disciples that will come out from their seclusion and participate. They have been meditating on the laws, and their understandings of fire laws will have risen to another level. Although your talent is good, it's still impossible for you to obtain first place amongst those Divine Transformation Realm disciples. I only hope that you can obtain first place among the younger rising talents. Among those, the highest cultivation is at the early Divine Sea. From the Divine Sea realm to the Divine Transformation realm, one had to close up for a long time and accumulate laws of the world. They had to fuse these source laws into their minor dimension, then condense that into a dimensional realm with its own set of rules. The process was extremely long and difficult. In the Divine realm, rising from life destruction to the Divine Sea would take a genius around 10 years. But for those at the Divine Sea to step into Divine Transformation, that often took dozens of years. This was because rising into the Divine Transformation realm was filled with all sorts of difficulties, and there were also flaws in the various inheritances, even in the Divine realm. This was also the reason why the martial artists of the lower realm Sky Spill continent never had anyone capable of breaking through to Divine Transformation. Yes, Honorable Master. Lin Ming bowed and excused himself. He flew back to his own training chamber and began to meditate on the third level of the fire laws. After opening the gate of opening, many areas that he hadn't understood before suddenly became clear. On the heretical god sprout, more and more fragments of laws were carved into the leaves. The golden red round totem became increasingly mystical and profound. Cultivation passed without sense of time. In the blink of an eye, half a year had passed. For the Phoenix Cry Palace disciples, the incomparably important Ancient Phoenix Smelting Trial had begun. Before the Ancient Phoenix Smelting Trial began, Firebird Hall, Golden Crow Hall, and Vermilion Bird Hall began a vast and bitterly fierce competition in order to decide who had the qualifications to enter the Ancient Phoenix Smelting Trial. The qualifications to enter the Ancient Phoenix Smelting Trial were the same as an immense lucky chance. Even if they couldn't rank in the smelting trial itself, they could still expand their horizons and meditate on the source concepts. There were all sorts or resources they could enjoy there to help them. This was greatly beneficial to their cultivation. However, Firebird Hall had nearly 1 million disciples, Golden Crow Hall had tens of thousands of disciples, and Vermilion Bird Hall had several thousand disciples. If all three halls were combined, the number of disciples was terrifying and the competition was fierce. If one wished to obtain a spot, they would have to suffer through difficulties beyond imagination. In order to obtain a single spot, they put forth every secret they had and utilized every connection and trick, desperately lunging for their chance. Between the disciples of Phoenix Cry Palace, it wasn't just a competition of talent and strength, it was also a contest of methods and plans. It was just like the harem of a mortal emperor. The competition between the 3,000 concubines was bloody and cruel. However, as the first of the 4 halls, the disciples of Phoenix Hall didn't need to participate in the competition. They easily obtained the smelting trial qualifications that all the disciples of the different halls longed for in their dreams. This was the advantage of being a Phoenix Hall disciple. However, it was actually 10 times more difficult to become a Phoenix Hall disciple than to obtain the qualifications for the Ancient Phoenix Smelting Trial. Before the smelting trial began, a spirit boat flew high above the skies of Phoenix Cry Palace. In truth, this could not be called a spirit boat but rather a spirit ship. The ship was tens of thousands of feet long and was thousands of feet high. It could easily accommodate hundreds of thousands of disciples. All trial disciples enter the spirit ship. A divine Lord Realm powerhouse floated in the sky, pouring true essence into his voice. His voice spread far over the entire planet that was Phoenix Cry Palace. Lin Ming narrowed his eyes and looked at the sky. What a coincidence. This divine Lord Elder was exactly the Vice Palace Master of Phoenix Hall, the smiling old man that had received Lin Ming into Phoenix Hall. Although this person was Sage Jiuyang's person, he hadn't created any difficulties for Lin Ming when he entered Phoenix Hall. Lin Ming's impression toward him wasn't good or bad. Disciples flew into the sky like a swarm of flies, 700 to 800 people in total. Of these people, The disciples of Phoenix Hall accounted for less than 10%, the disciples of Vermilion Bird Hall accounted for 80%, and the disciples of Golden Crow Hall and Firebird Hall filled in the rest. Golden Crow Hall and Firebird Hall had around 1,000 participants. In order to cull these 1,000 people from the hundreds of thousands of disciples, the competition had been brutal and cutthroat. As these 700 to 800 disciples flew into the spirit ship, it wasn't crowded at all. Instead, it was extremely spacious. Old Man Sun floated high above the spirit ship, taking count of everyone. Junior Apprentice Brother Lin, haha, aren't you Junior Apprentice Brother Lin? I'm Protector Liu, the one who will be leading you this time. During this ancient Phoenix smelting trial, you must bring honor to our Phoenix Cry Palace. At this Atlas world, there are a total of 3 ancient Phoenix clan branch palaces that will join in. There are Phoenix Cry Palace, Praying Phoenix Palace, and Charming Phoenix Palace. The 3 palaces will gather at the same area where the ancient Phoenix smelting trial is held. In these past years, our Phoenix Cry Palace hasn't really been too outstanding amongst the 3 palaces. The older generation has Junior Apprentice Brother White Dao Hong to support them, but for the younger disciples there isn't anyone at all. They're in a miserable state. Lin Ming had just stepped onto the spirit ship when someone recognized him. The one who spoke was Protector Liu, the one who would be leading the batch of younger disciples. Protector Liu's cultivation was at the late divine transformation realm. Although his strength far surpassed Lin Ming's, his expression was still polite as he spoke to him. This was the respect earned by talent. So long as Lin Ming didn't perish midway, it was already an assured matter that he'd become a divine lord in the future. A divine lord realm powerhouse was rare even in the massive Phoenix Cry Palace. Protector Liu, Lin Ming greeted in return. As for Atlas World, he had already read through the jade slips that Jiang Ziji left behind detailing the various influences of the divine realm, and he also read through some ancient texts of Phoenix Cry Palace, gaining an approximate understanding of the divine realm. The divine realm had 3,000 great worlds that were called primary worlds. There were also countless medium and small worlds. Of course, these were only small worlds in comparison to the primary worlds. In truth, these small worlds were all as large as the world the Sky Spill continent was on, if not larger. Atlas World was one of the divine realm's 3,000 great worlds. The world was vast to the point that it was nearly immeasurable. This world held 3 of the ancient Phoenix clan's branch palaces, and the ancient Phoenix smelting trial was also held here. After Protector Liu called out to Lin Ming, many disciples turned to look at him. Lin Ming's name was currently at the height of fame within Phoenix Cry Palace. It wasn't just because he had taken the Phoenix Blood Spear, but also because he defeated the 4-layered Heaven's 9-fall Huoyangguang with only a 5th stage life destruction cultivation. Moreover, news spread that Lin Ming had also inherited the old Palace Master's source strength from Saint Artifact Pavilion. This was treatment that only the highest disciples of Phoenix Hall could hope to receive. It was rare for this type of genius to emerge even in 100 years. At this moment, streaks of light appeared on the horizon, shooting forwards at an extreme speed. There were only around 20-some people, but as these people appeared, all the arrogant and proud talents instantly changed their expressions. Even Protector Liu straightened up, appearing much more respectful than before. Is that Senior Apprentice Brother White and the others? Elder Senior Apprentice Brother has finally come. The 20-some people were not random people but the 9-fall divine transformation realm powerhouses of Phoenix Hall, and the one leading them was the number 1 disciple of Phoenix Cry Palace, White Dao Hong. Phoenix Hall had a total of 29 9-fall powerhouses, and most of them were divine transformation realm martial artists. There were a few 9-fall divine sea martial artists, and as for 9-fall life destruction martial artists, Huoyangguang was the only one. These 20-some people had an extremely high and lofty status within Phoenix Hall. They served as the core of Phoenix Hall and their status was much higher than the hall protectors. There were even some outer court elders that treated them with respect, especially White Dao Hong. White Dao Hong was a character who would one day become a vice palace master. That was a status that a common elder could not compare with. So that's White Dao Hong. His background is indeed deep. Lin Ming looked up to see White Dao Hong. White Dao Hong was wearing white clothing and his eyebrows slanted upward like swords. His temperament was otherworldly, as if he were unpolluted by the world. As Lin Ming looked at him, he could feel something peculiar about him. The heaven and earth origin around him seemed to be in harmony with him. This was something that would happen when one's destiny reached an extremely high boundary. They would become one with the world, forming a phenomenon where the world would resonate with them as though they were a sovereign king of the heavens and earth. According to Fairy Feng's opinion, if White Dao Hong relied on only his current achievements, he'd become only the weakest and most inferior of Vice Palace Masters in the future. This was in a situation where he didn't experience some fortuitous encounter. But in truth, a genius like this was highly likely to have many great lucky chances awaiting them. If he managed to experience another great lucky chance after becoming a divine lord, it was possible he would become a top-ranking figure like Fairy Feng or Sage Joyang. At that time, he would be only a step away from being a palace master. For those like White Dao Hong, it wasn't easy for them to perish. His strength, mentality, and destiny defied common sense, and even if he entered a danger zone where death was a near certainty, it was highly likely he would escape through the heavens and even obtain some benefits. Elder Son, White Dao Hong greeted Elder Sunday. His eyes swept over the new disciples. He stopped on Lin Ming for a brief moment before continuing. "Haha, apprentice nephew White, isn't your 120th birthday arriving soon? This will be your last ancient phoenix smelting trial. Do you think you can obtain first place?" Elder Son nodded, smiling and laughing. In terms of status and identity, he was under White Dao Hong. Perhaps not. Charming Phoenix Palace's Lu Xiaoyuan is 10 years younger than me. Although she was inferior to me in the past, she has actually managed to catch up already. After her senior apprentice sister reached 120 years of age, she became the new chief disciple of Charming Phoenix Palace. White Dao Hong casually said. Although he had taken first place among the older disciples twice in the past, both times had been very tough on him. He had experienced fierce competition and only managed to win with a slight advantage both times. "Everyone is here. We're embarking." Once Elder Son finished taking count of everyone, the spirit ship shot up into the sky. The several tens of thousands of feet long ship was like an ancient vicious beast. Its velocity rapidly rose to a terrifying degree. Behind it, the massive buildings of Phoenix Cry Palace shrank until they disappeared from sight altogether. Soon, the entire planet Phoenix Cry Palace was located on was also cast off. Chapter 989, Fire Spirit Star. Chapter 989, Fire Spirit Star. Bang! The spirit ship broke through the barriers of the great dimension that Phoenix Cry Palace was located within and arrived in the primary Atlas world. The spirit ship crossed through space and activated the Great Void Shift. In order to travel through a primary world of the divine realm, one had to use the Great Void Shift. If they didn't, it'd take tens of thousands of years or even hundreds of millions of years to fly from one end to another. The spirit ship flew higher and higher. Quickly, the primary world's 100,000 feet high mountains and 100-mile wide rivers turned vague, shrinking to little particles of dust. Even so, the primary world's main continent was still endlessly broad. The size of a primary world was difficult to measure even when using trillions of miles as a unit. Lin Ming stood at a porthole and watched the endless void within the heavens of Atlas World, deeply shocked. Although he had already looked through jade slips for a brief introduction of the divine realm, he was still shocked by its vastness as he witnessed it with his own eyes. The great worlds of the divine realm not only included the primary world, but also the greater space that surrounded it as well as the countless celestial bodies in this space. Before, when the spirit ship underwent a great void shift just now, they had already traveled 1 trillion miles from the continent they were previously at. Along the way, Lin Ming saw almost limitless tiny shining spots in the sky, each spot representing a celestial star. In the universe, every celestial star represented a celestial body, coming in nearly infinite forms and shapes. These celestial stars were large and small. Some were blazing fire stars, some were massive planets, some were giant meteors, and some were even black holes that were known as the closest existence in the universe to grand mist energy. There were countless celestial stars, and most of them had extremely poor environments with nearly no heaven and earth origin. These were desolate stars, unsuited for the survival of mortals or martial artists. But there were some celestial stars which had rich heaven and earth origin energy and were full of life, vibrant, with many mortals living on them. The resources they had couldn't compare with those on the primary world, but they were far superior to those of the lower realms. Amid these stars, divine sea masters, divine transformation masters, and even divine lord masters would emerge. There were even some stars that were developed by martial artists as their personal territories or abodes. These martial artists were often supreme elders of the divine realm. They kept themselves secluded from the world. But once they appeared, they would frighten an entire area. Whether it was ancient or current times, the stars that existed in the skies of a divine realm primary world always had martial artists living on them and powerhouses with their own hidden abodes. Naturally, there were countless lucky chances that were passed down through time. On these stars, there were an immeasurable number of rare treasures to obtain. There were caves of ancient vicious beasts and even hidden lairs of god beasts. If one could fully explore these stars, the wealth they would find would be endless. Of course, even if a late Divine Lord Realm powerhouse were to spend their entire life exploring these stars, they wouldn't even manage to visit 100,000 of them. Junior apprentice Brother Lin, are you enjoying the scenery? Come on, this journey will last for 20 to 30 hours. Let's go to the dining hall and get something to eat. A tall man walked over to Lin Ming. He was Protector Liu, who was responsible for the rookie disciples. Once a martial artist reached Lin Ming's boundary, they could ward off hunger forever by absorbing heaven and earth origin energy for sustenance. Still, eating good meals brought about enjoyment and pleasure, and the food of Phoenix Cry Palace was made from refined heavenly materials. Eating this type of food was very beneficial to a martial artist's cultivation. As they walked to the dining room, many people recognized Lin Ming along the way. They looked at him with a great deal of respect etched into their expressions, and some even made way for him to pass through. This was proof that Lin Ming's prestige in Phoenix Cry Palace was already firmly established. The world was like this. If a person suddenly had a great accomplishment, they would often incur the envy and exclusion of others. These jealous people might think that this person's successes were only due to luck, and some people would even want to wrest away his achievements. But if that person were to have an even greater accomplishment once again, then that'd be proof they had strength others could not rival. The other envious people would slowly shut up and their envy would be replaced by respect and awe instead. Lin Ming defeating Hua Yengguang had undoubtedly consolidated his position. Of course, there were no absolutes. There were still many people who imaged Lin Ming as their rival and took him as the goal they had to surpass in the future. Zhu Fei, the one who passed us just now, was Lin Ming. He's the person in Phoenix Hall with the greatest limelight right now. Compared to him, we still have a long way to go. After Lin Ming walked by, a blue-robed man spoke to a man in red armor. A long way. Yes, that's right, the road I want to walk down is indeed long. But that is only the road to becoming a palace master or holy lord. As for Lin Ming, I will surpass him sooner or later. When I entered the sect, I only managed to enter into the lowest level Firebird Hall, but that is only because of my background. I'm not like that Lin Ming. I don't have to latch onto the thigh of a vice palace master and have her recommend me to directly enter Phoenix Hall. If I want to enter Phoenix Hall, I can only do so by crossing the 9th stage of life destruction. Even with everything against me, I was still able to rely on my status as a Firebird Hall disciple to obtain first place amongst the rookie disciples in the qualification tournament. As the red-armored man spoke, his eyes flashed with a confident light. He had just reached the 8th stage of life destruction. The red-armored man's name was Zhu Fei. He came from common mortal origins and was a disciple of Firebird Hall. However, during the qualification tournament for the ancient Phoenix smelting trial, Zhu Fei won from all his rivals. As a Firebird Hall disciple, he defeated all the other rookie talents of Golden Crow Hall and Vermilion Bird Hall, and managed to obtain first place. He currently enjoyed a very great limelight. However, What made Zhu Fei uncomfortable was that he thought he would soar into prominence this time and become the focus of the entire Phoenix Cry Palace. He thought that he'd be the next man of the hour after Lin Ming. That the elders would realize they were blind to talent and would descend to Firebird Hall to wring their hands and praise him. But reality was not what he expected. He only caused a great stir within Firebird Hall and Golden Crow Hall and the worship of many young disciples there. In the second highest ranking Vermilion Bird Hall, he attracted jealousy and exclusion, and many even insisted he had only been lucky. As for the highest level Phoenix Hall, everyone there ignored him. No one was concerned about him from the start. Compared to the limelight that Lin Ming had created, him winning first place in the qualifications tournament was like comparing a tiny wave in front of a vast sea. It was simply insignificant. Even when he saw disciples of Phoenix Hall and greeted them, none of them had heard of him. It was impossible for him to reconcile with this. He procured such a great achievement, so where was the honor and glory he deserved? As he thought this over, Zhu Fei could only come up with a single explanation. The disciple of Phoenix Hall always kept a mentality of being high above others from the start and simply looked down at everyone from the Firebird Hall, Golden Crow Hall, and Vermilion Bird Hall. They must think that all other disciples were nothing but grasshoppers and ants, and even someone who obtained first place would just be a slightly larger ant. This sort of contempt caused a fire to rage in Zhu Fei's heart. Humph, you lot think that us disciples of the three halls are nothing but ants, but what you don't know is that common mortal talents like me simply don't have the chance to enter Phoenix Hall if we don't reach the 9th stage of life destruction. But even so, I am far stronger than most of you. Zhu Fei took a deep breath, clenching his fists together. He planned to amaze the world in a single feat during this ancient Phoenix smelting trial. He believed that with such a result, the high-level figures of Phoenix Cry Palace would finally take him seriously and give him the attention he deserved. He would become the focus of all eyes. Lin Ming naturally didn't know he had become the goal that many people were chasing after. As he was eating, the spirit ship underwent the Great Void Shift again and again, shifting dozens of times over. Finally, the spirit ship came to a stop in front of a flaming red star. From afar, this fire star seemed extremely serene. It was only that the surface of this star was covered with red spots, as if it were the texture of wood. Surrounding this planet was also a massive ring. This ring stretched out for millions of miles, passing through the skies like a beautiful and endless rainbow. This was the location of the ancient Phoenix smelting trial fire spirit star. This star was only several 100,000 miles in diameter. It was far smaller than the planet the Sky Spill continent was on. As the spirit ship entered the atmosphere of Fire Spirit Star, it began to collide with the atmosphere and the fierce friction resulted in endless flames. Within the atmosphere of Fire Spirit Star, there were terrifying vortexes of fire origin energy everywhere. Strong winds of fire origin energy traveled at thousands of miles per second, 10 times the speed of sound. It was more accurate to say that instead of winds, these were actually shock waves. If a mortal were to be hit by such a breeze, they'd be smashed to death. Even a martial artist couldn't withstand such an impact. This was because what these shock waves blew was not air but extremely wild fire origin energy. Although Fire Spirit Star looked tranquil from the outside, if one looked carefully, they could discover just how terrifying it truly was. Those beautiful red spots one could see from afar were actually formed by the strong winds. In such a dangerous and brutal environment, it was impossible for any kind of life to form. This was why Fire Spirit Star was classified as a desolate star. Even so, to a high-level martial artist, it was actually an excellent smelting trial location. This Fire Spirit Star was considered the territory of the ancient Phoenix clan. The ancient Phoenix clan had built many smelting trial locations within it. We've arrived. Everyone, disembark the spirit ship. Elder Sun yelled out as the leader of the troop. Hee. Let's go, junior apprentice brother Lin. Fire Spirit Star isn't a place to have fun. You should be careful. Protector Liu, who was responsible for the rookie disciple, grinned as he spoke. But just as his voice faded, there were 2 miserable screams that echoed out. 2 rookie disciples of Firebird Hall had their protective true essence blown apart by the strong heavenly winds. They were sent flying backwards by the impact force. Savage and wildfire origin energy broke into their meridians, causing them to vomit a mouthful of blood. Several protectors immediately flew out to catch them. One protector expanded his protective true essence to cover them, and another protector injected true essence into their bodies. Only then were the two disciples able to catch their breath. Elder Sun's eyes turned chilling. He coldly said, "What a bunch of pathetic fools. Although I didn't warn you about the dangers of Fire Spirit Star, you should have sensed just how harsh the environment here was while on the spirit ship. Even so, you casually walked out. I really don't know how such idiots managed to pass the qualification test. If people like you two entered into a mystic realm to hunt for treasures with others, the best you'll ever accomplish is being cannon fodder for others, let alone obtaining benefits or lucky chances. Once you leave Firebird Hall, you will likely perish on your road of martial arts. Forget trying to cultivate to higher boundaries. You are both utter disappointment." Elder Sun intentionally didn't warn the junior disciples about the dangers of Fire Spirit Star because he wanted to test their powers of observation. The result was that they really were idiots. The two disciples had already suffered enough misery. After being publicly reprimanded by Elder Sun, their complexions turned white. These two idiots really disgrace Firebird Hall. I can't believe that I'm stuck in the same hall with them. Ju Fei frowned. He was ashamed in his heart that he was in the same group as these people. Haha, they truly are disgraces. But for the lower cultivation disciples, even if they know about the strong heavenly winds of Fire Spirit Star beforehand, it's still difficult to withstand even if they put forth their full strength. This is why Phoenix Cry Palace has such a rigorous qualification competition that removes over 99% of the disciples. Just watch, many disciples won't even be able to stand above Fire Spirit Star. The blue-clothed man that accompanied Ju Fei casually said. Chapter 990, Hell of Fire. Chapter 990, Hell of Fire. As the blue-clothed man spoke, several Firebird Hall disciples carefully flew out from range of the spirit ship's protective array formation. They desperately urged their protective true essence to the limit, but in the violent fire origin energy, their protective true essence shook and creaked, seeming like a bubble that could burst apart at any moment. They all had life-destruction realm cultivations. There was not a single Divine Sea martial artist among them. This was because besides Phoenix Hall, all three other halls only had rookie disciples attending the ancient Phoenix smelting trial. The senior disciples no longer had any value in raising, and all junior disciples were required to be younger than 33. In the divine realm, a martial artist could be considered the cream of the crop if they could cultivate to the early Divine Sea by the age of 33. In Phoenix Cry Palace, nearly all of these disciples were gathered at Phoenix Hall. All other hall disciples were at the 8th stage of life destruction or below. In fact, most Firebird Hall disciples didn't even have the ability to step into the 8th stage of life destruction. It was already excellent if they stepped into the Divine Sea with a 7th stage life destruction cultivation. If they didn't have some great lucky chance, it'd simply be impossible for them to reach divine transformation. However, the Firebird Hall disciples that were here all passed the qualification test and they could be considered the highest percentile of the elites. It wouldn't be an issue for them to reach the 8th stage of life destruction, but they were still far from reaching the 9th stage. Elder Sun frowned as he saw these junior disciples that couldn't even stand steady. In this state, they could barely survive on Fire Spirit Star, so how could they possibly gain experience? This time it wasn't just disciples of Phoenix Cry Palace that had come to gain experience, but also those from Praying Phoenix Palace and Charming Phoenix Palace. If the disciples in a group performed poorly, the leader would also lose a great deal of face. Elder Sun would inevitably be ridiculed by his old friends at Praying Phoenix Palace and Charming Phoenix Palace. Afterward, disciples of Golden Crow Hall and Vermilion Bird Hall began to leave the spirit ship one after another. The Golden Crow Hall disciples weren't much stronger than those of Firebird Hall. Most of them barely made it through the qualifications test after experiencing the fierce competition. As for Vermilion Bird Hall, they had many masters. These were the outstanding individuals of Vermilion Bird Hall and they easily passed the qualification test. In terms of quality they were only inferior to the disciples of Phoenix Hall. They flew into the strong heavenly wind. Although their protective true essence violently fluctuated, their postures were still stable. The strong heavenly wind didn't impact their bodies in the least. This signified that their foundations were far superior to those of Firebird Hall. However, Elder Sun's face was still ugly. In his eyes, these people barely passed and would only complete the lowest level content in the smelting trial. They were all disgraces. This was until a red-armored young man flew into the strong heavenly wind of fire origin energy. His body was like a fish as he casually flew through the skies without any hindrance. All of the fire origin energy heavenly wind blew around his body and was instantly deflected by his formidable protective true essence, unable to approach 4 feet near him. Elder Sun's eyebrows arched up. He looked at the red-armored youth for a brief moment, then asked, "Who's that?" Reporting to Vice Palace Master Sun, "That person is named Ju Fei. He comes from Firebird Hall and obtained first place in the smelting trial qualifications competition." Oh, someone from Firebird Hall can actually obtain first place in the smelting trial qualification test. Not bad. With this ability he is eligible to enter Phoenix Hall. Elder Sun slowly nodded, exposing the tiniest of rare smiles. For a time, Ju Fei was the focus of everyone's attention. Many Phoenix Hall disciples also asked where he came from. To Ju Fei, this was an extremely enjoyable feeling. As he turned to look back at the disciples of Phoenix Hall, wanting to see just what degree of excellence they could achieve. "That boy's quite the crazy one. His eyes are telling me he wants to compare with us. Hey little 8th stage life destruction brat, you're still far from capable." An early Divine C Junior disciple faintly smiled. Only Phoenix Hall had Divine C Junior disciples. "Come on, let's go." Several Divine C disciples flew off the spirit ship. Who? A savage and violent fire origin energy heavenly wind blew against them. Several Divine C realm disciples suddenly condensed their protective true essence, forming a protective barrier. The turbulent heavenly wind violently clashed with the protective barrier and was bounced back, colliding with the incoming heavenly wind. This caused all the strong heavenly wind to be unable to approach within 5 feet of them. A 5 feet distance was superior to Ju Fei's 4 feet distance. However, these people were older than Ju Fei. The disparity in comparing a Divine C martial artist and an 8th stage life destruction martial artist was obvious. This proved that the talent of these Divine C martial artists was inferior to Ju Fei's. Ju Fei faintly smiled. His eyes turned to the others. Those people weren't able to qualify as rivals in his eyes. He waited to see if there were any fiercer disciples from Phoenix Hall. After the Divine C realm disciples passed, several more Phoenix Hall disciples followed after them. They also had decent performances. They were able to reflect the fire origin energy heavenly wind of Fire Spirit Star several feet away, but even though their performance was better than Ju Fei, they were also older than him. If they were the same age as Ju Fei, they would have been faintly inferior to him. Ju Fei's smile became increasingly bright. At this time, Ju Fei's eyebrows shot up. "Millimeter? Huoyen Guang. Good, I want to see just how far you can deflect this fire origin energy heavenly wind." Ju Fei wanted to use Huoyen Guang to estimate Lin Ming's strength. When Lin Ming fought Huoyen Guang, the battle didn't last long, but Lin Ming still used his full strength to defeat Huoyen Guang. If he could understand Huoyen Guang's strength, then he could also understand Lin Ming's strength. From above the spirit ship, a red-haired man silently flew down. His expression was indifferent and he was casually floating down, but wherever he went, all of the fire origin energy would be sliced apart by his protective true essence, forming beautiful patterns like ripples in water. Huoyen Guang didn't even use his protective true essence to deflect the strong heavenly wind. In his mind, there was simply no meaning to this. With his 4-layered heaven's 9th stage life destruction cultivation, he had lost to Lin Ming. If he competed with these martial artists who were competing with all their effort to see who could deflect the heavenly wind further, wouldn't he just be a joke? In Phoenix Hall, his only rival was Lin Ming. He simply didn't have any interest in competing with anyone else. In fact, after losing to Lin Ming, Hu Yenguang became a completely different person. He no longer attended any meetings with the juniors of other noble families, but spent most of his time in seclusion, diligently cultivating, withdrawn and indifferent to everything else. Originally, Hu Yenguang should have been punished by his family clan due to the seriousness of his loss, and the resources he owed were impossible for him to pay off by himself. However, his uncle had taken responsibility for his loss and had received the blame in his stead. His uncle was willing to repay the phoenix plume blood for him, but Hu Yenguang had rejected his good intentions. His uncle even wanted to compensate him with some high-grade saint artifacts, but this was also similarly rejected. To Hu Yenguang's uncle, several high-grade saint artifacts wasn't considered anything at all. This was because Hu Yenguang wanted to depend on himself to repay his own debt. From start to finish, Hu Yenguang only diverted the heavenly wind around him, appearing extremely calm and natural the entire time. Although this seemed simple, the truth was that it wasn't simple at all. Just this calmness was something the average person could not hope to achieve. Hu Yenguang arrived like this in the crowd of people, his expression staying indifferent throughout. This Hu Yenguang is indeed formidable. He didn't even drive his protective true essence, and yet he could descend so calmly. Zhu Fei took a deep breath. He was not afraid of a strong rival, because the stronger a rival was, the more it would arouse his fighting spirit. Zhu Fei's eyes turned to Lin Ming. He wanted to see just what Lin Ming would do. But before Lin Ming could fly down, several white-clothed men flew down from the spirit ship, laughing and conversing with each other. These people were all ninefold divine transformation disciples that were led by White Dao Hong. They were the most outstanding individuals of Phoenix Hall and were characters that would at least become an elder in the future. These people didn't even raise their protective true essence, nor did they reflect the strong heavenly wind. Instead, they flew directly into it. As the fire origin energy heavenly wind blew onto their bodies, this heavenly wind was actually absorbed by them, especially White Dao Hong. Around him, all of the originally crazy and violent fire origin energy suddenly became gentle and submissive. There was even a faint feeling of the energy around him worshipping him. This scene shocked all the surrounding disciples. Things could even be done this way. The Phoenix Hall disciples had been comparing with Zhu Fei to see who could deflect the strong heavenly wind further. But now, compared with White Dao Hong, it seemed that all of their actions were as laughable as children trying to compete with an adult. Senior apprentice brother White Dao Hong can actually reach such a degree. This is too fierce. The violent fire origin energy heavenly wind that is fatal to us is actually like ordinary fire origin energy to them. They can even absorb it into their bodies. Just how high has their comprehension of the fire laws reached? The difference is too great. The surrounding disciples from the four halls looked at White Dao Hong with awe and reverence in their hearts. To them, this fire origin energy heavenly wind was the same as lava to a common mortal. They had to carefully avoid it. But White Dao Hong was able to directly bathe in the lava. They were on two different levels altogether. Even Lin Ming was staring intently towards White Dao Hong. In his field of vision, White Dao Hong had already disappeared. What he was paying attention to was the points where the fire origin energy heavenly wind flowed and changed. Every single line produced a clear image that reflected in Lin Ming's immense spiritual sea, whereupon it was carefully analyzed by him. With his current perception along with the support of the Saint Artifact Bracer, he was able to quickly discern the circulating laws of the fire origin energy from their patterns. This is the concept of creation, the reverse side of the concept of annihilation. They use the concept of creation to resolve the destructive power of the fire origin energy and diminish it, converting it to a gently fire energy they can absorb. To think that you can actually use the concept of creation like this. In that moment, Lin Ming could feel the thoughts of concept of creation that were lingering in his mind for the past 6 months suddenly touch upon something, as if he had spontaneously been enlightened on a truth. After contemplating on the jade slip left behind by Fairy Feng and accumulating a massive amount of understandings, the final finishing touch was added on today as he suddenly obtained mastery. Lin Ming could feel at that moment he comprehended a trace of the concept of creation's essence. He impatiently wanted to take advantage of this time to verify his own comprehensions. His figure moved and he flew off the spirit ship. He didn't summon his protective true essence at all, and only relied on his mortal body to rush into that turbulent fire origin energy heavenly wind. What is Lin Ming planning on doing? He hasn't used any protective true essence at all. Does he want to be the same as senior apprentice Brother White? Several junior disciples were dumbfounded by this scene. You're tuning in to the Celestial War YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.